Two students share gossip as the blue sky frames their whispered secrets, fueling rumors that ripple through the school courtyard. A car speeds by with a screech and a wave of curse words, the chaos of the street echoing the unrest simmering beneath the surface. Among the greenery, a well-dressed young man scoffs into his phone, eager to share the day's latest humiliation with his unseen companion. The camera swings closer as he sneers, pointing out a lone figure and mocking the supposed disorder of the neighborhood. A group in the background recoils, their voices rising with incredulity as they fixate on the newcomer who has become the center of unwanted attention. Alone in a void speckled with stars, the outcast stands defiant, the murmurs of exclusion fatting into the depths of their determined silence. Bathed in cosmic shadow, the outcast stands vulnerable, swallowed by words that threaten to define fate. A sharp gasp betrays the shock in heavy-lidded eyes as outside taunts reach their mark. Tension ripples in a close-up, panic rising while the world seems to close in around wary eyes. A surge of noise washes over the crowded sidewalk, leaving no escape from the suffocating scrutiny. A blood-red warning lingers in the void. To invoke the king's name is to invite an inescapable doom. Upon a crimson hilltop beneath a fractured sky, the figure who bore every label stares down an unforgiving world, undaunted by the flames now crackling at their feet. He is consumed by memory, shrouded in flame and shadow as the specter looms behind him. His legend takes shape in blood and warning, marked only by screams and crimson-stained earth. Through every calamity, his power eclipses all rivals, and even the most righteous fall before his strength. Eyes burning, he gains a feared name, echoing out as the god of martial arts. Amid rolling hills and vibrant forests, the warrior finds a moment's peace as he surveys the distant village below. A voice cuts through the serenity, calling Mister, as an innocent smile brightens the clover-strewn field. She gazes at him from the meadow, questioning his distant gaze as she gathers wildflowers with a gentle smile. Her voice is bright as she explains that joy is found in laughter and little things, not just in moments of perfection. He listens, holding her words close, and promises that one day he'll understand and share in that simple happiness. A single hand lifts a wildflower to the soft sunlight, the promise of quiet affection blooming between them. She twirls with radiant laughter, grateful for meeting someone who can bring her pure delight. Even as she laughs, uncertainty lingers, and a whisper wonders who could have known a bond like theirs would someday turn bittersweet. Under the promise of happiness, petals swirl around as his memories fracture and rush away. He floats weightless between sunlight and shadow, chasing fleeting echoes of laughter and warmth. A soft bed of blossoms cradles his fall, the vibrant world now blurred by sadness and longing. His eyes close against the darkness, wrestling with dreams that offer neither comfort nor closure. Awakening to an endless night, he draws a ragged breath, barring a soul stripped of hope and direction. Lost in gloom, his voice trembles in the silence, searching for meaning with a single, aching word: where? He sits alone in the cold void, wondering aloud, am I? Suspicion gnaws at him as he questions if this is another test, or if he truly survives by will alone. The darkness stretches endlessly as he decides to seek a way out, determined to return to the world above. Resolute, he steels himself to escape and face whatever mystery awaits beyond the cavern. His eyes widen in shock as an unnatural light pierces the gloom, dread mixing with recognition. Blinding energy erupts, its power and uncertainty swirling, foreboding an imminent, inescapable change. A digital interface hums to life, charting the coordinates and shifts of a new expedition. Bathed in an eerie green light, a team of explorers advances through the cavern, tension coiling in the air. The leader's voice flickers with unease as he recalls the legends surrounding these forbidden depths. Classified reports swirl with rumors about intelligence leaks and the disappearance of past parties. 5 years have passed since that fateful night, shadows lingering in the determined eyes of a lone investigator. A horrific vision intrudes, bodies strewn amid blood-red light, as desperate messages sputter from a radio clutched in a trembling hand. A nervous apology hangs in the air as the soldier's words are abruptly cut short by a terse command for silence. Bathed in green light, the team freezes at the warning, tension mounting in the confined darkness. One member trembles, doubting his luck and confessing that the class monster ahead moves with an eerie vitality. Another points into the shadows, gesturing frantically as he calls out to the team leader. Panic erupts when the leader gives the order to retreat, vowing to hold back whatever terror lurks in the gloom. A body collapses under the flicker of a lantern, the chilling aftermath shrouded in eerie quiet. Wide-eyed, the young man looks up at the crimson sky, dread and uncertainty painted across his face. He broods over the number of groups now hunting this location, piecing together the grim implications. A ripple of raw energy swirls beneath a bare foot, as if heralding something unearthly about to arrive. An entire city holds its breath while a column of light explodes upward, scattering panic and awe through its streets. Disoriented, the long-haired figure stands in a barren unknown, questioning reality with a weary voice. A surge of mystical force erupts around him, warping the air and hinting at a power beyond understanding. A storm of arcane force surges across a ruined landscape, the lone figure bracing against its unrelenting winds. Bleached sand stretches to the horizon, where shattered buildings and bent steel hint at a long-lost city. Crimson light crackles around him as he wonders aloud if something still lies hidden amid the ruins. Settling beside a weathered skeleton, he pokes curiously at the sun-bleached bones, searching for clues in silence. He bandages his wounds and surveys the desolate emptiness, acutely aware that only confusion and decay remain. Streaked with glowing energy, he tests his senses, straining to detect any sign of life in this forsaken world. Haunted by the past, he remembers battling the fanatics of the heavenly demon cult and the dangers left behind. Ancient sorcerers once wielded forbidden powers, and now the same sinister energy begins to seep into the present. A shimmering stream of ice magic cuts through the emptiness as he braces against a world alien and cold. He flexes his injured arm and steels his resolve, ready to leave and search for distant hope. He surveys the endless sands, deciding to walk where the air feels least poisoned by corruption. A glimmer of life reappears in the distance, and he races forward, desperate for any sign of another soul. Dark tendrils of energy snake across the ruins, pulsing as a new force gathers in the silent wasteland. An explosion of violet power bursts from the cracked earth, scattering debris and sending shockwaves through the empty city. A busy street bustles with ordinary life, seemingly untouched by the otherworldly chaos unfolding elsewhere. News flashes on screens, announcing an international scandal as the mysterious gate incident rocks the world. Inside a noodle shop, two friends wait for their meal, one jokingly demanding, "When will our black bean noodles be served?" A smiling waitress arrives, balancing their steaming food, her name tag reading Wang Honghua, Vice President, Unsoying. With a cheerful smile, the waitress sets down their meal, wishing them a nice meal as the diners burst into thanks. The restaurant door opens with a chime, and the waitress greets a newcomer, remarking it's been a long time since his last visit. Adjusting his glasses, the man at the counter waves hello and requests a bowl of noodles with a practiced familiarity. Noticing the man's haggard appearance, the waitress gently asks if he's all right, mentioning news of another mysterious gate opening nearby. In a tense meeting elsewhere, guild leaders bicker over the monopolization of gate resources, straining under diplomatic pressure. Back at the shop, the waitress laments the rising chaos as desperate people chase quick riches and tragic accidents increase. The chef and waitress exchange grim looks as she admits that business pressures are truly overwhelming. A boiling pot symbolizes hope for some, as they speculate that falling magic stone prices might finally offer relief. Yet concern lingers as most neighborhood customers have disappeared, wary of venturing out in dangerous times. A takeaway box lands on the counter, echoing the mounting sense of dissatisfaction and restlessness. Frustrated, a patron storms out, cursing the chaos and his inability to keep living this way. Panic spreads as breaking news of another gate flashes on a phone, sparking fear and fury throughout the city. Beneath fluorescent lights, two workers exchange updates about price drops in the magic stone market, their anxiety barely suppressed. The kitchen simmers with unease as one wonders aloud how anyone can consider business when venturing outside risks their life. A gentle plea urges the waitress to rest, but she brushes it off, determined to continue despite exhaustion. She finally relents, promising with a tired smile that she'll return soon. Outside, he weighs his choices, reflecting on how long it took him to find stability and fearing the risk of starting over. Resolved but troubled, he tells himself he can't just walk away from everything he's finally built. He steps into the city, the remnants of chaos echoing in every uncertain glance cast his way. Though the skyscrapers and streets feel unfamiliar, a thread of similarity tugs at buried memories. Ghostly faces swirl around him, their voices cold and distant as he struggles to find where he belongs. Across the crosswalk, a little girl in a pink dress catches his eye, her presence marked by flickering blue light. Bathed in eerie energy, she floats in a liminal space, her innocence masking something ominous and powerful. He watches warily, wondering if such uncanny strength could dwell in a child, and if she knows far more than she lets on. A sudden gust whips through the crosswalk, scattering hair and headbands as startled faces look on from the sidelines. The mother gathers her child protectively, but a magical swirl lifts the girl effortlessly from her grasp. Tiny bunny ears tumble in midair, caught in the dizzying updraft of supernatural wind. The girl wriggles free and tries to dart after her lost headband, heedless of her mother's caution. Her mother cries out a desperate warning as the child steps dangerously close to the street's edge. Oblivious to her peril, the little girl's silhouette freezes in the crosswalk, her focus locked on the stray headband at her feet. With a small sigh of relief, the girl clutches her headband, oblivious to the car's headlights bearing down on her. Frozen in the glare, she calls for her mom just as disaster looms. Haunted eyes reflect the impending danger, her world narrowing to the reflection of pink ears in the polished grille. Above the city, the headband soars in the bright blue sky, momentarily safe while chaos reigns below. The crowd's horror crescendos as her mother shouts her name, desperate to bridge the fatal distance. Locked in terror and love, the mother lunges for her child, their fate hurtling toward a single, irreversible instant. Strong arms sweep the child up just in time, her wide eyes shining with relief and gratitude as she clings to her rescuer. The mother collapses at their side in tears, overwhelmed with gratitude as bystanders watch in stunned silence. High above, the crosswalk scene plays out like a distant memory, voices echoing with sobs and shouts of disbelief. The girl's mother thanks the mysterious stranger, shakily relieved to see her daughter safe and unharmed. A sharp, knowing gaze flashes as the rescuer studies the child, sensing something extraordinary beneath her innocent smile. The girl stands apart, somehow sparkling with energy, while her rescuer wonders at the uncanny sense of fate binding their lives. The woman breathes a shaky sigh of relief, gently confirming that her daughter is unharmed after the ordeal. A fierce rumble punctuates the awkward silence as the rescuer's stomach growls, drawing a sheepish glance from the grateful mother. He glances back at the pair, realization dawning that it's been a long time since he last shared a meal with others. Lost in thought on a hilltop, he muses that the life he once knew, filled with camaraderie and purpose, now seems far away. A small, insistent voice draws him out of reverie as the girl calls repeatedly, "Mister, Mister." With infectious cheer, she tugs his hand and beams, inviting him to dine on her favorite food, proud to share that her dad is a chef. On a sunny street corner, the mother insists that the least they can do is share a meal with her daughter's rescuer. He shifts awkwardly, modestly explaining that he was simply compelled to help and needs no reward. The little girl's infectious giggle lightens the moment, nudging her mother and their hero out of their seriousness. A clear sky and the cheerful front of a neighborhood restaurant signal a peaceful interlude after the chaos. Meanwhile inside, the chef nearly faints upon hearing how close his daughter came to disaster. He rushes over in alarm, demanding to know if Haeyoung is unhurt, while her mother calms him, assuring him that Haeyoung is just fine. Haeyoung's mother introduces the mysterious man to her husband, explaining how he saved their daughter's life. The chef, wide-eyed with shock, blurts out his gratitude and insists their guest can have as many meals as he wants. Embarrassed by the fuss, the rescuer sits quietly while Hae-young innocently scolds him, reminding him not to eat sloppily. He pulls at his tattered shirt, realizing with hesitation how out of place he is in this warm family setting. The chef politely invites him to wash up in the back while they prepare his food, assuring him it's no trouble at all. A bundle of fresh clothes is pressed into his hands, a silent welcome and the first gift he's received in countless years. The chef explains that the clothes are leftovers from when he gained weight, hoping they'll fit his guest's slender frame. As he dresses, the guest wonders if he should accept money too, weighing humble gratitude against pride. He hesitates in front of the bathroom mirror, overthinking whether he's worthy of such kindness or remains a stranger. A sudden realization stops him mid-thought, as something unfamiliar about this new home sinks in. Outside, the chef kneels with household chores, and the guest politely requests his attention from the hallway. With an apologetic bow, he explains that the well's water supply is nearly gone, unsure if he's caused trouble for the family. The chef blinks in confusion as the guest speaks of the well, unsure what he could possibly mean. Inside the bathroom, the guest solemnly points to the toilet bowl, believing it to be the source of household water. Realization dawns with mild embarrassment as the chef explains that it's called a lavatory, not a well. Caught off guard, the chef hesitates, uncertain how to bridge the gap between old customs and modern living. He offers a gentle demonstration, turning the lever to reveal water streaming from the showerhead. Mesmerized, the guest marvels at the ease and abundance of flowing water, his wonder filling the tiny bathroom with hope. A splash of icy water soaks the young waitress as she frantically tries to rinse a stack of dishes. Dripping and flustered, she is spotted by the chef, who quickly offers a clean towel with a reassuring smile. She sighs with relief, accepting the towel and murmuring her thanks for the small gesture of comfort. With practiced ease, the chef sets a steaming bowl of noodles and delicious sides before their quiet guest. The young girl beams as she sits down, waving her chopsticks eagerly and ready to dig in. United by relief and gratitude, the little family finally gathers around the table, eager to share their meal with the stranger who saved their world. He watches steam curl from the black noodles, listening as the chef explains that otherworldly gates are a recent and frightening reality. Scenes swirl from another dimension, with shadowy figures tumbling through violet vortexes while legends echo in the void. Sitting cross-legged and content, he recalls how rifts like this became the birthplace of adventurers and monsters alike. The chef interrupts, promising to share the world's secrets after everyone eats, and urging them toward the waiting food. A quiet gratitude fills the guest's voice as he bows over his meal, feeling both welcomed and unworthy in this new life. Curiosity and caution mingle as he studies the curious color of his noodles, wondering if food truly is as magical as the hosts claim. He gazes at the bowl, memories of hardship washing over him as he recalls learning to scavenge and survive as a child. A vision of desperate times flickers, his younger self stretching trembling hands for food, guided by necessity more than choice. Red moonlight bathes a circle of survivors, ritual and hunger binding them under an ominous sky. Haunted by the past, he buries his face in his hands, remembering the years when each meal was won through struggle and pain. A gentle question snaps him back. Hae-young asks why he isn't eating his black bean noodles, her voice filled with innocent concern. She explains warmly how to mix the sauce and noodles, joyfully inviting him to share in the small comfort of ordinary family life. The little girl exclaims "Tada Tilda, eat," and holds her chopsticks up, brightening the moment with her joyful command. She insists the guest must say, "Thank you for the food, mother," reminding him to honor a simple ritual before eating. Eyes widen in awe as the guest lifts the black bean noodles to his lips and tastes them for the first time. He savors the warmth, finding comfort in the strange dish, and in the unspoken welcome that envelops him like sunlight. The chef beams, promising an even better meal next time as the family basks in the glow of newfound friendship. With a laugh, the guest says he wants to enjoy this dish again and again, happy to learn that this small happiness can fill his heart. After a hearty meal, the guest politely thanks his hosts and admits he's satisfyingly full, receiving an open invitation for more noodles anytime. Curiosity peaks as he notices an emergency recruitment sign on the restaurant door, advertising part-time delivery work. He draws closer, reading the fine print and learning that workers who stay overnight receive free food and accommodations. He asks the owners if doing deliveries really means earning room and board as well, and they confirm, explaining there's a shortage of people willing to work. Contemplating his future, he realizes that having a place to stay and a way to earn a living are just what he needs to adapt in this strange world. Hae-young leaps up in excitement when he expresses interest in the job, and the chef, surprised and delighted, readily welcomes him to their team. The chef laughs nervously, explaining that legal requirements make it difficult for non-citizens to work, despite their gratitude. His wife suggests a solution, remembering the rules for immigrants and how Hae-young's accident brought them together. The chef considers her words, recalling that citizens can sometimes serve as guarantors for those without proper status. Beaming, Hae-young's mother volunteers as a guarantor, easily navigating paperwork as she did for the delivery man before. The chef's eyes light up as he remembers this legal loophole, grateful for his wife's insight and kindness. Hae-young grabs his hand and cheers. "Okay, I'll become your guarantor," sealing their newfound bond with laughter outside the glowing restaurant. He bows deeply, promising to give his all as a delivery worker, while laughter and gratitude ring in the air. With newfound pride, he introduces himself formally as Wang Kang, quietly dropping his true age and astonishing everyone. Memories flash through his mind, lingering echoes of a girl who once offered him kindness and a name in a sunlit field. A handshake seals the beginning of his new life, and Hae-young suggests the cheery nickname Kangsu. Her eyes sparkle as she explains it's a name born from joy, meant to remind him always to smile. He teases that her nomming skills are lacking, but can't help grinning as Hae-young cheers. "It's so pretty, strong smile, Kangsu." A wistful smile crosses his face as he looks toward the future, the sting of sorrow softened by hope. Hand in hand, Kangsu and Hae-young walk together, their steps light beneath the morning sun. "Okay, Kangsu, let's use that as my name," he says, embracing the warmth of a chosen family. Beneath a luminous moon, flocks of crows take flight, shadows stirring at the edge of town. A great blackbird swoops low with a piercing caw, its wings beating a warning above the quiet streets. Unseen in the darkness, more ravens gather outside the restaurant, their eyes glinting with a mysterious purpose as night falls. Bathed in swirling blue light, Kangsu meditates, channeling the sparkling energy that saturates his new home. His gaze sharpens with focus, searching for understanding among unfamiliar miracles and hidden threats. Sitting quietly, he marvels at the abundance of pure energy, realizing he's never sensed anything like it before. A magical place, he reflects, noticing marvels sprawling through the modern kitchen and cozy apartment. He acknowledges that this world is full of wonders he never could have dreamt, a silent promise in every corner. But as the night deepens, unease flickers in his eyes, hinting that beneath the comfort, danger might yet be waiting. Startled by the sound of footsteps, Kangsu looks up as the chef enters the softly lit room. The chef blinks in surprise and greets him, asking, "Huh, Kangsu." Kangsu returns the greeting with a calm, "Good morning, Sunti," casually asking why the lights were left off. He laughs and explains he was simply sitting in the dark because there isn't a candle, resolving to show Kangsu how to use the electrical lights. Sunti grabs the nearest light switch and demonstrates, amused by the novelty of modern technology to his new guest. Hae-young's mother enters the kitchen, smiling with warm surprise as she sees Kangsu awake and adjusting to the rhythm of their home. Kangsu bows politely as he's welcomed with a cheerful good morning and asks if he should begin cooking. The chef, already stirring breakfast, reassures him that business preparations are underway, with plenty to accomplish. From his seat, Kangsu quietly observes the others bustling about, eager to contribute to the team. He calls out to Sunti, offering to help and asking if there's anything he can do before deliveries. Sunti laughs, insisting Kangsu should rest more, but apologizes for asking so much when there's lots to do beyond delivering food. Determined and sincere, Kangsu responds that he genuinely wants to repay their warmth, surprising Sunti with his earnest gratitude. Sunti hands Kangsu a cleaning cloth, asking if he can help tidy up before the next rush. Kangsu receives some quick training, watching as Sunti demonstrates how to use the vacuum in the dining area. He listens closely as Sunti explains that the machine works by sucking in dust with the press of a button. Copying the motions, Kangsu pushes the vacuum, Sunti assuring him it's not much harder than using a mop. With a grin, Sunti admits that Haeyoung often helps clean this way too, making the task a family tradition. In a sudden flash, Kangsu's thoughts drift to a memory of a solemn vow, his past struggles haunting him even in this new life. Kangsu wipes sweat from his brow, muttering about the lingering power still locked inside him. Eyes narrowed in concentration, he summons a glowing blue energy that pulses from deep within his core. Magic sparks to life in his palm, swirling unpredictably as he grasps for control through sheer will. Bolts of power crackle around him, forcing Kangsu to steady himself and fight down the rising surge. Sharp pain crosses his face as the mystical force threatens to overwhelm, testing the limits of his endurance. With a determined breath, he finally manages to suppress the energy, standing alone as morning sunlight floods the room. Water sparkles in a floating orb, swirling with prismatic light as Kangsu experiments with magic during his chores. Calm and focused, he channels the liquid carefully into the mop bucket, elated by his success. Done and dusted next, he thinks, watching the water flow perfectly into place. With measured grace, he conjures a second stream, magical energy swirling in controlled arcs around the room. Blue light ripples across his face as he grins, savoring the thrill of mastering a small piece of his past power. He sweeps his hand with a flourish, sending a final surge of water flickering across the tiles, quietly proud, unseen by all. Kangsu stands at the heart of the restaurant, magic water cascading in rings around him as he finishes his cleaning spell. He pauses, lost in thought, blue light flickering softly in his eyes as he weighs the risks of his secret. With a deep breath, he wipes down the last counter, quietly hopeful no one witnessed his unusual methods. Suddenly Sunti bursts in, jaw dropping as he asks if everything is clean and why the air feels so fresh. Sunti blinks in disbelief, rapidly piecing together what happened. Was this all Kangsu's ability at work? Before Kangsu can answer, Sunti's imagination runs wild. He stammers, "Don't tell me you're a high-level awakened," as Kangsu looks away, conflicted and cautious. Kangsu frowns in confusion and asks what awakened means, unfamiliar with the modern world's terminology. Sunti explains that awakened ones are people who have developed extraordinary powers since the appearance of the gates, which began 25 years ago. He gestures to passing movers, nodding that in daily life it's common to see people called awakened, who can manipulate powerful telekinesis. Daydream-like, his words are illustrated with images of fierce battles and elemental abilities, showing the extent of what the awakened might achieve. He adds that depending on how well someone controls their power, they're assigned a rank or grade, with the most proficient being the most dangerous. A montage of ranked awakened individuals flashes by, mysterious, formidable, and always watched closely by the authorities. Sunti admits that while others might envy the power of hunters, it's rare to see someone display such overwhelming strength so casually. Kangsu looks away, calmly explaining to Sunti that he has absolutely no intention of becoming what they call a hunter. Sunti is floored by the declaration, shouting "What?" in disbelief at this unforeseen decision. Animated, Sunti insists that high-level awakened are wealthier than nobles, and that Kangsu could have anything he desires if he joined them. Kangsu clenches his fist, quietly confessing that he's tasted honor and riches before, but discovered how empty it all was in the end. Sunti's curiosity sharpens, and he asks if Kangsu's clarity means his lost memories are beginning to return. Kangsu gazes at the landscape and admits quietly that he once belonged to a completely different world. He recalls the moment he awoke in a vortex of light, far from anything familiar and surrounded by swirling energy. Wandering through a crowded city, he confesses he's been pursuing traces of pure energy ever since that first dislocation. Meeting Haeyoung's wide-eyed gaze, he reflects on the coincidence that led him to her at a dangerous intersection. He remembers pulling Haeyoung out of the path of a metal carriage, saving her from disaster and sealing their fateful bond. Sunti listens intently, slowly processing the story, and murmurs, "I see," trying to fit the fantastical truth into their ordinary life. Kangsu sits across from Sunti, quietly admitting that he never meant to deceive and apologizing for withholding the truth. With a distant look, Kangsu reflects on how he should have been honest from the start, realizing the weight of his secret. His eyes flicker with vulnerability as he confesses that, despite the hardships, finding a place to belong here wasn't easy. Sunti listens intently, face glowing with empathy, moved by Kangsu's courage in sharing his story. Breaking the silence, Sunti assures Kangsu that belief comes easy, saying he would have struggled just the same in such an uncertain situation. A gentle smile spreads across Sunti's face as he suggests keeping Kangsu's identity private for now, while hinting that registering as an awakened is an option to consider. As morning breaks over the city, light glints off a towering glass spire, headquarters for the nation's support units. A sign quietly marks Support Unit 1, the steady heartbeat of the awakened support system. Inside the office, a figure slumps over a desk, exhaustion etched deep after a long night spent at the computer. A coworker calls out, startling Sung Jinho from his drowsy reverie and back to reality. Blinking behind his glasses, Sung Jinho tries to focus, but his friend chides him for pulling another all-nighter. "What's the point?" she sighs, warning that if he keeps living like this, overwork will catch up to him for real. A detective taps on his folder, frustrated as he questions why a subordinate is bothering him again. Slumped over his desk, the junior officer admits he's clueless about how to tackle the mysterious 205,109 gate case. With a resigned sigh, he slides a file across the table, prompting the detective to glance at the new evidence. The detective narrows his eyes, asking if the officer is still chasing the elusive, zero-level awakener despite all the dead ends. Adjusting his glasses, the officer's hands tremble as he discovers something shocking within the official documents. His vision blurs with anticipation as he reads, "This paperwork may finally reveal the true identity of their enigmatic suspect." The detective leans in, sharply reminding his subordinate of the urgent order to stop tracking the elusive Zero Awakener. Papers shuffle on the table as the team quietly debates, some questioning the secrecy and risk behind the sudden directive. Head in his hands, the youngest officer mutters about the lost chance to finally find a Level 0 Awakener for their country. An older agent in a suit stands under the spotlight, musing that missing this opportunity could allow another nation to claim the prize. A wave of anxiety hits as one officer wonders aloud what happens if the team ultimately fails to secure their target. But determination returns. His partner offers a tired grin and vows, "Don't worry, we'll definitely find him," clinging to hope amidst the uncertainty. Sung Jinho scans the database while his colleague assigns mundane paperwork, hinting their boss can handle the Gondaman case. The investigator claims a prior engagement and struts off, leaving the overwhelmed support agent to sigh in resignation. Wistfully, Sung Jinho wonders what he'll eat for lunch, absently admitting he hasn't made plans as he stares at his files. A coworker stops by to mention a popular local restaurant, only recalling that it was run by an unusual newcomer. With a snap of insight, Sung Jinho recalls rumors about the chef's hidden power, realizing this might be their next lead. His expression sharpens as he tries to remember the name of the place, unaware that the mystery he's chasing is much closer than he thinks. A familiar street corner reveals the bright red sign of Spring Pavilion, promising noodles and comfort. One friend shares their excitement, recalling how much they've missed the iconic black bean noodles. Standing beside the bustling storefront, Kim Myunjin nervously asks if the group is really skipping the signature dish. His companion laughs off the concern, affirming that the noodles are a timeless favorite and there is no need to worry. Reflecting on their friendship, someone quietly wishes they could treat everyone to something even more extravagant for once. With a cheerful shout, Nuna urges everyone to hurry as her stomach rumbles, leading the way into the restaurant and a new memory. A group of employees chat at their station, one remarking that this is the restaurant recommended by the famous team leader Beek. Eyes wide, a guest is startled by the enthusiastic chorus of welcome as the staff greets them at the door. The maitre d' hurries over with a polite table for two and leads the pair to their seats in the warmly lit dining area. With seamless efficiency, the server invites the guests to sit and gestures for them to follow. Menus are handed out, and customers are reminded to call when they're ready to order, the quiet atmosphere adding a subtle air of mystery. One guest leans close, whispering doubts about whether such a peaceful place can really serve great food, while the other quietly promises the experience is worth the wait. Kim Myunjin hands over the menu with a gentle assurance, confident that Nuna will also love the house specialties. After some thought, he affirms his craving for black bean noodles, his resolve clear as he points to the dish. The cozy restaurant hums with anticipation as guests settle in, the staff attentive and ready for the rush. The server approaches to take their order, polite and smiling, jotting down both the noodles and a request for sweet and sour pork. 2 steaming portions of black bean noodles soon arrive, drawing a delighted grin from Kim Myunjin. The chef, touched by their enthusiasm, beams as she offers free dumplings on the house, prompting heartfelt thanks from the table. With a gentle smile, the server thanks the guests for waiting and brings out a fragrant bowl, setting it with practiced care. Kim Myunjin peers at the dish in anticipation, nerves and curiosity sparking as the steam curls toward him. Nuna's eyes light up as she inhales the aroma, her expectations high after so much talk and hype. The server places another bowl before her and bows, sharing that this recipe has been secretly handed down for generations. A moment's hush settles over the table as both friends prepare to taste, the air heavy with the promise of discovery. They lift their chopsticks together, determination and excitement mingling, as the first bite draws them into Spring Pavilion's hidden world. A piercing gaze narrows through the darkness, a presence hidden yet intensely aware of every movement in the restaurant. Sensing something off, Nuna glances over her shoulder, her instincts on high alert despite the cheerful setting. Kim Myunjin notices her unease and quietly asks if something is wrong, concerned by the sudden shift in her demeanor. At another table, a mysterious figure dressed in green observes the scene from afar, their eyes cold and calculating. The observer silently weighs every gesture, acutely aware of the subtle aura that flickered between Nuna and Myunjin just moments ago. Cradling a child, Nuna admits she felt a strange surge of energy earlier, but assures herself it must have been her imagination as she soothes the little girl. Kangsu sits cross-legged in a spiraling dimension of green light, reflecting that although the world has changed, some things remain constant. He wonders aloud if he can really stay out of trouble, lamenting that his power may still draw unwanted attention. A warm voice interrupts his thoughts as the server presents their order, 2 black bean noodles and sweet and sour pork, placing the food gently on the table. Kangsu thanks her, but inside, he muses about how he's searching for comfort even in this foreign land. Startled by a sudden realization, Kangsu glances up from his thoughts with a questioning look. The inviting aroma of food fills the air, and as the dishes land on the table, he admits that no matter where he goes, a good meal can make him feel at home. Nuna savors the first bite of black bean noodles, her mind echoing with praise for the chef's skill and recipe. A stray drop of sauce lingers on her lips, highlighting both her focus and her delight as she slowly chews. Kim Myunjin raises his chopsticks to comment, but a sudden ringing interrupts, drawing both of their attention. He glances at his phone, reading a message that startles him and clouds his previously bright expression. The light-hearted mood is broken as Kim Myunjin forces a smile, covering his concern with a playful remark. Nuna, unaware of the true reason for his distraction, laughs warmly and urges him to eat more as the afternoon sun spills across their table. The enigmatic chef in the back surveys her bustling restaurant, her eyes sharp as she recognizes the subtle energy shifts in the air. As she glances through the swinging doors, she spots Kangsu and Nuna laughing with the child, a softness briefly crossing her expression. In the kitchen, she steadies her breath, feeling the unmistakable aura of another master lingering just beyond the dining area. The clatter of utensils fades for a moment, as the chef wonders if fate has drawn kindred spirits to this little noodle house. Outside, the afternoon sun filters in, illuminating Kangsu's peaceful smile as he savors the food and fleeting sense of belonging. Behind the counter, the chef silently decides to watch over her mysterious guests, knowing their destinies may soon be entangled. Kangsu sits thoughtfully at the edge of the bed, musing how he's still not fully adjusted to the daily routines of this world. His eyes widen in horror as he realizes the object in front of him isn't a sink, but an ordinary toilet, a mistake that still makes him uneasy. Suddenly transported into a memory, he recalls a frantic moment when someone yells to grab the shower head in a time of panic. Bathed in sepia light, the figures in his mind stagger comically, reminders of past confusion and embarrassment. Despite these awkward slips, Kangsu quietly reassures himself that there's no need to rush, he can find his pace in his own way. Staring out across the small apartment, he decides it's time to research what it truly means to be one of the awakeners, determined to claim control over his new circumstances. Nuna and Kim Myunjin sit together amidst the gentle bustle, savoring their meal as sunlight filters through the window. A sudden moment of tension flickers in Nuna's eyes, her chopsticks hovering midair as she senses a distant roar outside. Kim Myunjin glances up, concern building, just as the low rumble grows louder and seems to vibrate through the floor. Both freeze as everyone in the room turns toward the windows, curiosity and unease rising with the spreading commotion. Outside, a crowd gathers, drawn by the unexpected sound, their faces a mix of anticipation and lingering suspicion. Within the restaurant, the mood hangs in suspension, each patron bracing for whatever is about to unfold beyond the door. Kangsu sits in front of the motorcycle, listening intently as his friend warns that mastering the ride will take time and mental readiness. He's handed a helmet, staring at it curiously and unsure, silently urging himself to get used to this new life. Turning the helmet over in his hands, Kangsu asks what it is, only to get a simple answer: that's a helmet. His friend, already suited up, cautions about the speed and danger of motorcycles, insisting that proper equipment is the only way to stay safe. Kangsu takes a steadying breath, fits the helmet onto his head, and feels a strange sense of transformation, like donning the gear of a warrior. With trembling resolve, he mounts the bike behind his friend, the cityscape blurring into uncertainty as they speed toward the unknown. A masked figure swings onto a gleaming motorbike, their posture casual, as if riding a familiar old pony. He twists the throttle, musing that while the sensation is similar, something about this bike feels far more potent. With a slow exhale, he reminds himself not to lose control. Today's speed is for training, not for showing off. Helmeted and silent, the rider surges forward, slicing through city traffic with fluid, measured precision. A quick check behind him reveals another motorcyclist gaining ground, their gaze unreadable behind mirrored visors. As tires hum over the asphalt, the lead rider questions whether such power should only be used for mundane deliveries, heart racing with anticipation of what lies ahead. The delivery motorcycle idles in the hallway as Kangsu contemplates the new job's challenge. There's no way to cover this territory on foot. He pulls on his helmet, recounting his orders to deliver at lightning speed, a task only a skilled rider could manage. Out on the open road, the city blurs past as Kangsu pushes the throttle, but doubts creep in about whether this speed is enough. Under the sharp midday sun, office towers loom like obstacles, the delivery route now a race against time. A glance at the towering complex ahead reminds him that efficiency is everything when splitting deliveries between hundreds of households. At the building entrance, Kangsu's coworker Sunti waves him down with a question, their conversation hanging unfinished as both stare at the daunting task ahead. Haunted eyes peer through the reddish glow as Kangsu is surrounded by swirling specters and memories of a dark past. A formidable presence looms in the shadows, hinting at danger yet also the weight of destiny. A crystalline cityscape rises, cold and unyielding, reflecting both ambition and the isolation at its core. In hushed conversation, Kangsu listens to a question about mana stones, uncertain if he can trust the answer. He hesitates, the faintest furrow between his brows betraying doubts hidden beneath calm words. A rush of memory surfaces, a vivid image of red gems, sinister and alluring, marking a turning point in his life. Dread laces the next steps across a barren overpass, the wind carrying warnings he cannot ignore. A can opens with a familiar hiss, the smallest pleasures offering exact moments of comfort and escape. As laughter erupts, Kangsu chugs the drink, masking inner turmoil behind carefree bravado. He freezes, gaze drawn to emitting a strange sound, the ordinary suddenly touched by unease. Fingers close around the metal, his expression shifting from curiosity to wariness as he prepares to take a sip. Kangsu drinks, the tang of carbonation mingling with a new tension, settling deep in his chest. Power bursts within him, illustrated by rippling energy, raw and uncontrollable, demanding to be unleashed. A wild transformation flashes, casting him as something larger than life beneath an electric sky. Scenes of mountains and ancient struggles flicker past, steeped in both longing and regret. Returning to himself, Kangsu ponders the true nature of his journey, searching for answers in the storm he carries. A glimpse of hope is restored as laughter bubbles up among friends, a fleeting reminder of life's lighter moments. Clutching the last drops of warmth, Kangsu braces for what's next, a lone silhouette against the coming night. The group stands beside a parked motorcycle, the city morning casting long shadows on their path. Sunti and his companion discuss the possibility of delivery work, each considering alternative routes for the day ahead. Talk shifts to business logistics, weighing the cost and efficiency of motorbike versus foot delivery. A dramatic outburst breaks the seriousness, causing everyone to pause in surprise at the sudden volume. A friend's warning about the importance of delivery speed is met with a knowing smile as Sunti downplays the worry. Sunti contemplates whether he could truly ride faster, his determination flickering beneath a calm expression. A close-up reveals Sunti's widening eyes as he begins to realize a new possibility stirring within. He internalizes the hopeful thought, convincing himself that what he imagined might really be achievable. The other character, arms folded and analytical, explains the technical details of the run as Sunti listens. After a moment of consideration, Sunti simply responds with calm acceptance, ready to try. With bold excitement, Sunti dons a helmet, the resolve to prove himself fully setting in. He mounts the motorcycle, focus sharpening, as the world seems to slow for the challenge ahead. Tires screech, launching Sunti forward into the initial surge of acceleration, adrenaline spiking in his veins. The motorcycle's blur becomes a streak of momentum, machine and rider merging in a test of speed and will. Suddenly, the narration shifts to an ancient blue-lit chamber far from the city, introducing the legendary Emperor of Flames. The Emperor's arrival is bathed in mystical light, surrounded by the reverence of distant history and whispered legends. His silhouette on a reflective pool hints at an unmatched mastery, the ripple beneath him echoing tales of uncatchable speed. The tale concludes with the Emperor gliding effortlessly away, shadows swallowing his form, a master beyond pursuit or imitation. Kangsu speeds through labyrinthine city streets, the world blurring past as he races the clock. The motorcycle's tires screech to a halt in front of an apartment, urgency flickering in Kangsu's gaze. He dashes up the stairs, lungs burning, spurred on by the memory of urgent instructions. A familiar female voice calls out, halting Kangsu in his tracks as relief and surprise mix on his face. Reunited, they exchange awkward greetings in the cold, each concealing the burdens they've carried alone. Soft laughter ripples between the two, nostalgia briefly easing the tension wrought by time and distance. He glances through the window at the little girl waving, hope softening his wary expression. Kangsu kneels and accepts a cheerful scolding from the child, her innocence a balm for his weary heart. The mother smiles knowingly, eyes shimmering with stories untold, as she welcomes Kangsu into the warmth of family. Tenderness blooms as the small family wraps Kangsu in a fleeting sense of belonging. The child's stubborn defense of Kangsu's punctuality breaks the last boundary, drawing a rare, honest smile. A playful tug on his sleeve forces him to recall simpler days and promises, not always kept, but cherished nonetheless. With a soft exhale, Kangsu releases tension, his shoulders relaxing in this momentary peace. Yet memories of loss and purpose return, glancing off skyscraper glass as he steps back outside. He surveys the silent skyline, uncertainty and determination warring in his eyes. Light breaks between the towers, illuminating a path ahead just as daunting as the one behind. He walks onward, each step a whispered vow to protect what truly matters, no matter how the city's storms may gather. Inside himself, Kangsu carries both the ache of past sacrifices and the faint hope that this reunion brings a new beginning. The crowd shuffles restlessly at the entrance as Kangsu and Sunti prepare to step inside the testing building. Sunti playfully dashes forward, eager and full of bravado, while Kangsu follows more cautiously behind. A close-up catches Sunti's nerves as he wrestles with uncertainty about the upcoming test. Paperwork and long lines fill the administration hall, where Kangsu obediently complies with every instruction. Sunti confesses his confusion over addressed documents, grateful for Kangsu's help in navigating the bureaucratic maze. Clutching forms, Sunti vents his anxiety to Kangsu, grateful but embarrassed by how much he depends on his friend. Kangsu pauses near the door, briefly lost, as he second-guesses his next move before entering for the test. Sunti offers a demonstration of the test device, showing Kangsu the swirl of blue energy it produces. He explains the intricacies of the test, describing how the passage of energy through one's body determines classification. Side-by-side illustrations visualize the fate of those with different classes, contrasting the blue glow of the strong with the pale aura of the weak. Sunti points out that less energy entering the body means the higher the class, and thus more privilege and control. Kangsu listens, pondering if getting a higher class is inherently good or just another burden to bear. A vision of the elite appears in his mind's eye, a reminder that those at the top rule unchallenged from their thrones. Sunti assures Kangsu that a high class guarantees comfort, but Kangsu's expression grows distant with doubt. Inwardly, Kangsu recognizes that wealth and fame mean nothing to him anymore after all he's endured. A memory surfaces of a younger Kangsu, living simply and peacefully in a secluded mountain village. He wishes for the innocence of that life, far removed from the complications and expectations of the world outside. Kangsu looks upward at the luminescent ceiling, weighed down by thoughts of how far he's drifted from the place he once called home. Kangsu enters the scene with a quiet determination, his form framed by the pale morning light as he steps forward alone. A voice calls out to him from behind, and he turns, face etched with mild surprise at the familiar greeting. Sunti waves energetically, wearing a casual smile that belies the tension hanging in the air. Kangsu utters Sunti's name with a trace of disbelief, meeting his old acquaintance in this unexpected place. Sunti responds with a light-hearted "huh," feigning ignorance even as uncertainty flickers in his eyes. Searching his memory, Kangsu tries to recall the directions for the test room, silently chastising himself as he walks. Moving through the building, Kangsu rides the elevator in silence, anticipation tightening across his features. He steps out into a sleek corridor, blue lights casting shadows on his focused face as he gathers his composure. A staff member greets Kangsu and introduces himself as Kangsu's guide, extending a polite welcome with a badge in hand. They shake hands, the exchange formal yet respectful, as the guide mentions it's been a while since he met an isolator. Kangsu considers the guide's words, thoughts momentarily drifting as he wonders about the nature of this assignment. Walking beside his guide, Kangsu listens as the conversation turns to the past and how isolator cases have declined. They continue down the corridor, and the guide laughs, mentioning there's no need to worry about the North anymore. Kangsu is left pondering the mysterious North, distracted by the strange turn of phrase as they approach a secure door. The guide gestures to Kangsu, clarifying that the true test now begins in this room and reminding him to prepare himself fully. Inside, Kangsu stands beside the guide as he receives final instructions for the next stage, tension sharpening his resolve. He is told to place both hands on the transparent spheres and remain completely still during the upcoming test. Kangsu follows the instructions, bracing himself as the test initiates and machines work quietly in the sterile space. The silver motorcycle streaks beneath city lights, its rider a lone shadow racing against the dawn. A helmeted figure glances into the rearview mirror, the distant blur of taillights reflecting his silent resolve. He rides through narrow alleys, walls closing in as memories of his past flicker like phantoms in the dark. A sudden stop, dust swirling, punctuates the quiet as heavy thoughts gather between each heartbeat. Stepping off the bike, he surveys the unfamiliar neighborhood, uncertainty and determination warring behind his eyes. The cold morning lingers, mingling with the anxiety that seeps in as he checks his pocket for reassurance. A flashback breaks his focus, his old mentor's voice echoing, reminding him of rules that cannot be broken. He remembers the precise lessons, the grip on his shoulder, and the silent strength that kept him grounded in chaos. The road ahead stretches endlessly, illuminated only by headlights and a distant sense of duty. He watches a pedestrian cross, lost in thought, wondering if ordinary lives are as heavy with unseen burdens. A sudden vibration from his phone draws him back, urgency pulling him again toward his uncertain purpose. He answers tersely, listening to hurried instructions, the weight of expectation returning with every word. As he prepares to ride again, his mind contemplates betrayal, how trust is the rarest currency in this world. The engine's low growl signals his choice to move forward, regardless of the risks and half-truths. Back in motion, he navigates city corners with practiced ease, the world passing in a restless blur. He races past rivals, each figure a fleeting threat, each second a test of who he's become. Streetlights flicker above, painting his journey in harsh gold and blue, a reminder that peace is always just out of reach. Alone once more, he presses onward, old wounds and new hopes fueling his relentless path through the uncertain morning. A digital clock glows in the dim light as Kangsu sits alone, tracing the outlines of memories in silence. Faint city noises seep in through the window, a world alive and indifferent to his restless thoughts. A sudden ping draws him to the computer, where shadows flicker across his anxious face as he logs on. On-screen news headlines spin rumors, his name, along with others, caught in a web of accusations. Kangsu's reflection stares back from the monitor, eyes clouded with fear and disbelief at what he finds. Sweat beads at his brow as he contemplates the growing storm and the bitter taste of betrayal. Outside, neon lights slice the night, painting the city in harsh, unfeeling color. He imagines the unseen watchers, their laughter hidden behind bright screens and distant rooms. An accusation flashes, sharp and merciless, echoing through the hollow drone of the city below. He paces, grabbing at fragments of reassurance, each step weighed down by invisible burdens. A faraway phone rings and he freezes, dread and longing battling in his chest. He gazes at the receiver, desperately wanting answers but fearing more bad news. His trembling hands hesitate, torn between fleeing from the truth and fighting for what's rightfully his. With a slow breath, Kangsu steels himself, determined to face what comes, no matter how bleak. Cool air brushes his skin as he opens the window, city sounds swelling into a roar that drowns out doubt. He closes his eyes, summoning stray hope amid the chaos as the echoes of his name fade in the dark. Resolute, he turns from the window, ready to endure another sleepless night in search of redemption. As dawn breaks, Kangsu's shadow remains, a silent testament to his struggle, unfinished and unyielding. Kangsu rushes through the maze-like corridors, new determination seeping into every step despite mounting exhaustion. Dim lights flicker overhead as he turns a corner, calculating how much time remains before his next delivery is late. He bursts out onto a bustling street, weaving around pedestrians while keeping his focus keenly ahead. A sudden downpour drenches the sidewalk and blurs his view, but he tightens his grip and presses on without hesitation. Skidding to a halt under a neon-lit awning, Kangsu shakes off the rain and scans the delivery slip one last time. Inside the building, a silent elevator ride reflects his own inward struggle, caught between hope and uncertainty. He steps onto a crowded floor, list in hand, searching among faces as tension gently crowds the air. A conversation echoes in the background about unfamiliar names and shifting rules, fueling Kangsu's sense of alienation. He glances up as a stern official questions his tardiness, voice calm but masking disappointment behind a practiced smile. A fleeting pang of guilt flickers across Kangsu's face, tempered only by the memory of why he's pushing himself so hard. A colleague offers a wry comment about late arrivals, the small kindness serving to ground Kangsu's scattered thoughts. As the official relents, Kangsu moves back into the hallway, grateful yet hollowed by fatigue. He receives fresh instructions atop the landing, shoulders squaring for another round on the relentless city circuit. Pausing momentarily, Kangsu wonders if there's peace to be found anywhere in this world of endless tasks and shifting demands. The faces of his loved ones flash before him, fiery with worry but also hope, tethering him to something deeper than routine. With a slow exhale, he resolves to bear his hidden burdens in silence, refusing to let them show even to colleagues. Outside, the rain has stopped, but the city's challenges remain, each drop on the window a reminder of trials and perseverance. Seated alone as the day closes, Kangsu gazes at his reflection in a darkened window, silently vowing to endure, no matter how stormy the road becomes. Kangsu sits silently across from the official, fatigue etched into his features, as their conversation begins. He clutches a small cup and pours himself coffee, trying to shake off mounting exhaustion as the liquid steams in the cold air. Sunti offers a cup with a gentle hand, his form silhouetted by the morning sun and a comforting familiarity. Smiling wryly, the official teases Kangsu about learning the coffee ritual just yesterday, even as he accepts the drink. The team leader sips quietly, speaking of loyalty and habit while gazing out the window with distant eyes. Kangsu drinks as well, grateful for the respite, and the atmosphere softens with mutual understanding. The team leader admits the caffeine hit him with a surge, joking about productivity, while Sunti observes with a faint grin. A subtle narration reveals how Kangsu secretly used some of his energy to infuse the coffee in gratitude for past kindness. Kangsu thinks back to the lessons passed down, reflecting on the understated bonds that exist beneath formal exchanges. Both men carry their trays and head for the cafeteria, ready to embrace the new day's routines and rituals together. The cafeteria bustles with early energy, sunlight streaming through windows, and the air tinged with camaraderie. Kangsu notes how the setting feels like a battlefield, more social than hostile, but intense all the same. The team leader softens, acknowledging that while not a real battlefield, the stakes here can feel just as high. He points out where Kangsu can place his tray amid the crowded room, the guidance a subtle reassurance in unfamiliar territory. Praise is offered for Kangsu's resourcefulness, admiration clear as he masterfully navigates the morning rush. Sunti remarks on the abundance of food, marveling at the sheer scale and efficiency of the place. An earnest "what is it?" slips out as new dishes arrive, curiosity and anticipation building for the day ahead. Kangsu surveys the table, appreciating excellent ingredients and quietly preparing to face whatever battles the day may bring. A gentle laugh escapes as the guide muses over the joys of shared lunches with coworkers in the break room. Plastic lunch trays overflow with vibrant, comforting food, a brief escape for the weary office crowd. Sunlight glints off the glassy skyscraper, where meal breaks and casual conversation feel sacred. Seen from above, two figures, guide and guest, walk the rooftop, sharing small talk against the vast cityscape. "Was the food to your liking?" the guide asks, half teasing, as Kangsu offers a quiet nod of gratitude. Relief washes over their faces after so many examinations and check-ins, and the lesson is briefly paused. Kangsu's resolve wavers as he wonders if stopping now is truly all right, caught between fatigue and duty. A glance back at the elevator's metallic doors is laden with the weight of choices and missing paperwork. With practiced cheer, the guide claims the process has some perks. Flexibility and laughs come with a lighter schedule. Kangsu muses about the everyday rituals, quietly appreciative of these fleeting comforts amidst the chaos. Elevator doors chime as they exit, the outside world beckoning with the promise of another training session. Inside the gym, rows of determined trainees push themselves, sweat and camaraderie filling the air. The guide explains how anyone willing can participate here, as long as they secure the right permits. A swirl of conversation sways between polite thanks and careful avoidance of difficult questions. Kangsu offers a simple, stoic "I'm fine," hiding deeper worries behind a calm mask. His guide laughs off the suggestion of more legal theory, insisting instead on helping with practical applications. He encourages Kangsu to focus on what lies ahead, brushing aside old anxieties about formal judgments. With a gentle question, the guide asks Kangsu what he truly wishes for his future, signaling an uncertain but open road ahead. Kangsu stands quietly in the morning sun, a soft smile belying the uncertainty within his steady gaze. Colleagues greet him outside the office, their casual banter masking a mutual curiosity about his recent tests. He shares his class results, voice even, but the card he displays hints at a rank far from ordinary. Questions about his rank linger, mingling with a friend's gentle ribbing about aiming for ordinary status. Kangsu admits choosing a less competitive path, grateful for small mercies rather than chasing the crowd's ambitions. A friend teases him further, joking about the logic behind seeking mediocrity in a world obsessed with status. As cars flow below, another colleague watches Kangsu from a tall window, suspicion flickering in his narrowed eyes. They exchange silent glances through glass, both conscious of unspoken tests and hidden motives at play. The conversation turns to his skills, nothing remarkable, he claims, yet his progress was quietly the fastest of all. Even so, Kangsu's calm narration strips his accomplishments of glamour, insisting he's only done what was necessary. Across the office, hushed voices question the legitimacy of his results, hinting at broken test equipment and favoritism. Kangsu's section chief, hearing the rumors, draws him aside with a confidential smile and words of reassurance. He offers comfort, recalling his own experiences with arbitrary bureaucracy and jealousy among peers. Kangsu shrugs off the concern, focusing instead on routines and future plans over distant anxieties. The chief, thoughtful, asks Kangsu about his hopes now that the initial hurdles have cleared. Framed by window light, Kangsu quietly vows to keep in touch with old friends, priority over competition. His face softens as he reflects on sincerity and loyalty, the office noise receding into gentle memory. Outside, a bright shop sign flickers to life, signaling a new chapter, open to both risk and possibility. A phone vibrates quietly in Kangsu's hand as he steels himself for a decision that could alter his path forward. He is met by a concerned friend, their conversation tinged with uncertainty about the future that lies ahead. In a warmly lit living room, Kangsu is surrounded by companions offering support and gentle questions about his next steps. Deep in thought, he quietly confides the weight of his choices, his very presence a source of comfort for those with him. A friend's bright smile encourages the group, suggesting new beginnings and opportunities on the horizon. Another's nervous excitement rings out, grateful for Kangsu's help but unsure of what happens now. Kangsu hesitates in a hallway, inner doubts brimming, as he weighs each word spoken and unspoken. Beaming, their friend proposes a visit to the salon, a simple act that might mark a fresh start for the weary. The group gathers outside the salon's blue glass exterior, a symbol of hope and everyday renewal. Side by side, they enter together, the journey marked by both anxious anticipation and newfound camaraderie. A quiet dinner gives way to reflection, Kangsu's smile shadowed with the weight of memories and future expectations. Later, he walks alone through a bustling plaza, the surrounding crowds oblivious to his inner struggle for self-acceptance. A heartfelt thanks escapes as he looks back, but part of him longs to ask for forgiveness he cannot voice. Spontaneous fans swarm him for autographs and selfies, their excitement a double-edged sword that leaves him uneasy. He tries to leave quietly, but even a simple gift of bread sparks renewed attention and social media frenzy. Posts and likes pile up, but the glare of sudden visibility doesn't erase the loneliness that clings beneath. Through it all, Kangsu walks the neon-lit streets searching for belonging, caught between fading anonymity and unexpected fame. He looks up at the city lights, silently questioning whose story he truly wants to live, his own or the one the world expects. A gentle morning glow highlights Kangsu's reflective eyes as he stands by the window, absorbed in thought. Memories flicker through the mind of a friend, faces from shared pasts quietly coloring the present. Spoons clatter lightly as breakfast is served, routine and comfort marking the start of a new day. The restaurant buzzes with stories and laughter, a tapestry of ordinary life swirling around Kangsu. A mother's gentle smile reassures a nervous daughter, while the aroma of noodles drifts sweetly in the air. Quiet footsteps track across the wooden floor, every gesture deliberate as Kangsu fulfills each order. He pauses at a table, the polite question lingering in the hush, "Have you decided on your order?" Embarrassed, a regular stumbles over her choice, nostalgic warmth softening her rush. With a nod, Kangsu calls out the dish, the simple affirmation carrying more welcome than words. He delivers meals with practiced grace, his presence a subtle calm amid the morning rush. Bowls of noodles multiply across the tables, welcomed by the hungry crowd who savor the first taste. A surprise flashes over a customer's face as flavors exceed memory, delight brightening the ordinary. Mutual regulars promise to return, the ritual of shared meals binding friends and strangers alike. By the counter, promises of gratitude and "please come again" float above the day's gentle bustle. Behind the scenes, order slips are counted and checked, the comforting cycle continuing without pause. A request interrupts the routine as a friend seeks a spare seat, eager for a reunion over steaming bowls. Laughter and soft apologies fill the space, a gentle acceptance of new arrivals at the crowded tables. Around them, the restaurant brims with promise and familiarity, each meal a quiet celebration of connection. Morning sunlight glances off a city bus as Kangsu and a friend stand quietly together, lost in thought. Inside the bus, the world hustles by, passengers, faces softened by pale light and fleeting routine. A rude jostle in the crowd leaves Kangsu momentarily disoriented, but he quickly steadies himself. He exchanges a brief glance with a woman in the aisle, tension and curiosity crossing their faces. A sudden stop causes loose bags and arms to sway, giving the cabin a rhythm both chaotic and familiar. Kangsu clutches a worn backpack closer, memories of past journeys echoing with each lurch. Outside, skyscrapers loom overhead, symbols of both confinement and new possibility. He spots a young couple on the sidewalk, laughter ringing out as if daring gloom to break their joy. Kangsu's focus drifts away from the present, thoughts tangled in the complexities of city and heart. He glimpses his own reflection in the window, eyes searching for the determination that once fueled him. A subtle smile from his friend offers comfort, the silent language of shared burdens. The bus slows and Kangsu rises, body tensed by reluctant resolve. Stepping down into morning traffic, horns and footsteps surge all around, a reminder that life never eases its pace. He inhales deeply, bracing for another day's uncertain path among the restless city crowds. A fleeting memory of simpler times flashes, leaving nostalgia as both anchor and ache. The panel closes on Kangsu merging into the crowd, a figure lost but never quite fading. Above, clouds gather and sunlight persists, hinting at hope in the daily struggle. He carries forward with quiet courage, each step an acceptance of city's chaos and the promise of finding himself again. Monitor light shimmers across tired eyes as the investigator pieces together threads from another long night. A grainy file reveals a mysterious case designation, the flicker of a cursor hesitating on confidential data. The low buzz of computers hums in the background, two shadows close in silent collaboration over new evidence. A casual smile briefly lifts the agent's face as he realizes he's assigned to today's difficult shift. The memory of an old friend's warning triggers dread. Danger often lurks where scrutiny is least expected. Across town, a man collapses in agony, clawing at the air as nerves ignite like tangled wires. Cold glasses reflect a mocking smirk, the perpetrator cloaked in both shadows and bravado. Blueprints and plans scatter as the investigator scrambles, the stakes abruptly feeling much higher. A siren howls through the night as lights blaze over the city, each window a silent witness to unseen battles. Half-lidded eyes stare at the ceiling, sleep elusive as doubts and plans blur together in the dark. Blankets tangle as Kangsu awakes in his small apartment, the morning's uncertainty pressing in heavy and close. A gut feeling warns him, today will be different, friend and foe both will test the depth of his resolve. As slippers hit the floor, Kangsu slowly steadies himself to begin again, each step weighed with yesterday's regrets. A careful inhale-exhale, a ritual of survival, willing strength into battered bones for another day's struggle. City winds rattle the window as he debates whether to risk his unique training method in such an exposed place. He ultimately stands determined, aware that danger and hope mingle wherever he goes. The taste of breakfast is dull, but as he reads the day's headlines, old satisfaction briefly returns. Resolved, Kangsu raises his cup, silently vowing to outlast both adversity and the shadows that chase him. A shaft of morning light slices across Kangsu's narrow apartment, illuminating the exhaustion lining his face. He sits quietly at his desk, fingers listlessly tapping a cold mug, lost in the stagnant hush of early day. The blue glow of his computer screen flickers, casting shifting shadows as unread messages pile up. News reports scroll by, each headline another stone on a growing mountain of dread. Kangsu's reflection appears in the window, a silent witness to the disappointments that never seem to end. He stands, stretching the stiffness out of his limbs, trying to shake the sense of futility clinging to his skin. Slipping on worn slippers, he takes a slow lap around the cramped room, the floorboards creaking under each resigned step. He pauses by the nightstand, staring down at remnants of cold medicine and abandoned notebooks. A quiet resolve blooms as he pulls out a battered journal, pencil poised to rewrite a fractured future. The city outside yawns awake, but inside his sanctuary the silence is thick, broken only by distant street noise. As Kangsu scribbles, a glimmer of stubborn determination returns, refusing to give in to despair. He closes his eyes, breathing deeply, reminding himself that the smallest step forward still counts. A faint smile flickers on his lips, sharpened by memory and necessity, as he plans his next move. He slips the journal away and pulls on a jacket, ready to face another day of unknowns. With one last look back, Kangsu leaves his apartment, locking away both vulnerability and hope. Outside, the corridor is dim, but he squares his shoulders, spine straightening with newfound purpose. The door clicks shut behind him, leaving only echoes and a promise that he will not break. In the stillness, his story stretches forward, etched in determination, marked by every invisible battle left to fight. A lonely figure stands in the midnight rain, surrounded by the soft neon glow of sleeping buildings. Raindrops trace lines down his face, each drop heavy with exhaustion that no sleep can cure. With every streetlight he passes, his shadow stretches and distorts, echoing the burdens he cannot shake free. The soft crunch of gravel underfoot punctuates the emptiness as he trudges toward an uncertain destination. Past memories haunt every silent side street, faces and promises surfacing like ghosts beneath his umbrella. A passing car sends water arcing into the air, a brief ripple in his otherwise numb night. He pauses by a shuttered shopfront, gazing through fogged glass at a world that feels impossibly far away. A single glowing window above flickers, someone else is awake, battling their own nighttime solitude. He presses onward, shoulders hunched against the wind, clinging to routines that offer a fragile sense of control. From somewhere in the darkness, a distant laugh pierces the rain, sharp as a half-remembered betrayal. Turning a corner, the golden glow of a street lamp reveals his tired eyes, still searching for shelter or absolution. A stray dog darts past, its fur matted and tail low, both creatures castaways in a world that moves without them. With a heavy sigh, he slows his steps, unconsciously matching the rain's slow, deliberate rhythm. The city's sounds swell and fade, a lullaby for the lost, while he waits for some unspoken sign or invitation. Someone's umbrella flashes briefly at the next intersection before disappearing, a fleeting brush with connection. He pauses, breath catching, as the promise of warmth and light beckons just out of reach. Resolute, he steps on, determined to outpace his regrets, even if the dawn remains hidden behind storm clouds. Alone but unbroken, he vanishes into the night's last shadows, carrying hope that tomorrow brings kinder rain. Moonlight filters in through the blinds as Kangsu sits awake, memories flickering in his distant gaze. He scrolls through his phone, the screen's harsh glow illuminating anxiety and longing on his face. A message appears, its words slicing through the silence with the promise of both hope and dread. Kangsu's fingers hesitate over the reply, torn between yearning for connection and fear of more disappointment. He stares at the city skyline outside his window, anxiety shadowing his features as dreams and reality blur together. A fleeting memory of laughter in happier days prods at him, as if to remind him what he has lost. He closes his eyes, seeking escape in slumber, yet rest stubbornly eludes him as the night deepens. His phone vibrates again, echoing through the emptiness, dragging him back to the present. Steeling himself, Kangsu reads the new message, letting out a slow, resigned breath. A close-up catches exhaustion in his eyes, haunted by 1,000 sleepless worries. He sits on the edge of his bed, each breath shallow, weighed down by unseen burdens. A shot of his pale hands, gripping the blanket, betrays the effort needed just to steady himself. The air feels heavier now, pressing in with the suffocating presence of responsibilities unmet. He drags himself to the bathroom, the harsh light revealing every sign of weariness and resolve. Washing his face, Kangsu locks eyes with his reflection, searching for any remnant of determination. He dries off, the towel unable to erase the uncertainty etched across his features. Back in the room, he stands by the window, silhouetted against the city's glow, gathering the will to face another day. A final close-up meets his gaze. Kangsu's spirit may be battered, but the flicker of endurance burns on. Daylight casts a gentle glow on Kangsu's face as he listens intently, eyes betraying quiet worry. A classmate's cheerful tone masks the uncertainty that lingers between them, their conversation edged with hope and doubt. A young girl clutches her toy tightly, pleading for help with a look that pierces through hesitation. Surprise jolts the adults as she reveals her desperate cause, spurring action and concern throughout the room. Kangsu, steadying himself, explains where he found the ailing creature, inviting scrutiny from skeptical peers. A wave of relief follows as greetings are exchanged and anxieties momentarily dissolve in camaraderie. Businesslike, Kangsu and a suit-clad colleague consult by the window, assessing the situation with quiet resolve. Rain batters the glass, a reminder that hardship continues outside even as hope grows indoors. A familiar figure enters, greeting the group and drawing curious glances, the energy shifting with a simple "Hello, boss." Unexpected guests are ushered to seats, their presence both welcome and unsettling in the day's uncertain rhythm. One parent, face lined with concern, confirms the creature's rare nature, while doubts linger in every furrowed brow. An examiner leans in closer, scrutinizing the little animal with the practiced calm of experience. "Well, that's," murmurs a colleague, the weight of responsibility settling as they grasp the seriousness of the young girl's plea. The child seizes the moment with resolve, proclaiming she must save the animal so her friend can smile again. On bent knee, a parent reassures her, commending her courage and promising that no effort will be spared. The experts confer, weighing potential remedies and risks as the future twists uncertainly before them. Gently, patient hands cradle the tiny creature, promising utmost care as all eyes look on in hope. In a silent close-up, Kangsu's gaze reflects both the gravity of the challenge and his unspoken vow not to let fear win. Monitor light shimmers across tired eyes as the investigator pieces together threads from another long night. A grainy file reveals a mysterious case designation, the flicker of a cursor hesitating on confidential data. The low buzz of computers hums in the background, two shadows close in silent collaboration over new evidence. A casual smile briefly lifts the agent's face as he realizes he's assigned to today's difficult shift. The memory of an old friend's warning triggers dread. Danger often lurks where scrutiny is least expected. Across town, a man collapses in agony, clawing at the air as nerves ignite like tangled wires. Cold glasses reflect a mocking smirk, the perpetrator cloaked in both shadows and bravado. Blueprints and plans scatter as the investigator scrambles, the stakes abruptly feeling much higher. A siren howls through the night as lights blaze over the city, each window a silent witness to unseen battles. Half-lidded eyes stare at the ceiling, sleep elusive as doubts and plans blur together in the dark. Blankets tangle as Kangsu awakes in his small apartment, the morning's uncertainty pressing in heavy and close. A gut feeling warns him, Today will be different. Friend and foe both will test the depth of his resolve. As slippers hit the floor, Kangsu slowly steadies himself to begin again, each step weighed with yesterday's regrets. A careful inhale, exhale, a ritual of survival, willing strength into battered bones for another day's struggle. City winds rattle the window as he debates whether to risk his unique training method in such an exposed place. He ultimately stands determined, aware that danger and hope mingle wherever he goes. The taste of breakfast is dull, but as he reads the day's headlines, old satisfaction briefly returns. Resolved, Kangsu raises his cup, silently vowing to outlast both adversity and the shadows that chase him. A tense hush fills the lab as the scientist's hands hover over glowing instruments in the sterile blue light. Eyes narrow behind glasses as the data on the screen shifts, offering no easy answers, only deeper mysteries. Through the glass wall, junior researchers whisper, their excitement tinged with unease about the project's direction. A single bead of sweat rolls down the scientist's cheek, anticipation and dread racing side by side. He adjusts a dial, the soft click echoing in the quiet, and watches as nanobots flow beneath the lens. Across the room, a team leader's gaze is fixed on the main monitor, searching for signs of breakthrough or disaster. Someone bites their lip, clutching a clipboard, as the experiment's outcome wavers on a razor's edge. The room draws its collective breath when a signal spike flashes red, raising the pulse of everyone present. In that instant, the lead scientist's eyes widen, realization and alarm surfacing at once. Code streams rapidly across a secondary display, hints of anomaly and hope hidden in the scrolling text. A researcher flips through reference notes, their hands trembling, desperate to understand what they're seeing. An acrid smell gives the first sign of malfunction as a vial on the bench rattles ominously. Protective barriers hiss out from the wall, an automatic reflex to any disturbance, the sound underscoring the team's vulnerability. Emergency lights begin to strobe, bathing the scene in an urgent crimson, urgency climbing as containment protocols initiate. The scientist bark orders above the noise, his composed exterior fraying beneath the pressure of crisis. Monitors blur as personnel scramble for their designated posts, each step punctuated by blasts of static warnings. Against the chaos, the lead scientist locks eyes with the main camera, a silent promise to see the disaster through. As the doors seal, the narrative leaves them bracketed by hope and fear, set for the unknown, but unyielding in their resolve. An eerie blue light cuts through the gloom, illuminating two anxious adventurers as they clutch their weapons. The cavern suddenly fills with a spectral glow, bones and remnants scattered at their feet like grim reminders. A stunned group surveys the aftermath, shock etched into their faces as they process the impossible carnage. A lone swordswoman asks in disbelief about the mysterious animal-like sound that pierced the chaos. Spectral forms swirl overhead as figures descend, lands twisting with every pulse of magic that churns the darkness. An energy bursts from the hero's blade, a torrent of light overwhelming the shadowy opponents with sheer power. Bones are cleaved apart as swaths of the undead dissolve under the relentless energy unleashed. In a moment of respite, the hero stands among the remains, the ground littered with silence and the defeated. A memory flickers, he failed to seal the gate before, and now its haunting residue poisons the scene. Determined, he vows to finish the job, confronting a monstrous figure radiating sinister violet energy from its core. He unleashes a precise, merciless strike, the monster's head the sole focus in a frenzied storm of unrestful spirits. Specters rage and swirl, drawn to the commotion as the hero methodically clears each ghostly threat. He braces for a fresh horror, an enraged skull, spirit still vengeful, lashing out in wild, haunted panic. The hero steels himself, power swelling in his sword, as he issues a silent promise to avenge all who suffered. Brilliant energy surges forth once more, cleaving the final enemy amidst a blinding, unnatural storm. As the battle wanes, the hero stands alone, the spectral violence finally dissipating from the battered cavern. Above him, the last whispers of magic fade, lightening the weight in his once troubled gaze. Resolute, he faces the lingering darkness, quietly vowing that this haunting will end with him. Violet magic crackles in the dark as the sorcerer's incantation fills the air with tension. A close-up of his hand radiates fierce energy, every vein illuminated by pulsating light. He stands unwavering amid the swirl of shadows, a lone figure caught between destiny and doom. His enemy's taunt echoes from the void, promising death to any who dare trespass. A chilling proclamation resounds: forgiveness is erased under the skeletal judge's gaze. A surge of purple energy heralds the arrival of an unearthly force, swirling with malice. Another beam strikes, illuminating the battle's true stakes as power collides in midair. From above, a monstrous visage roars, its skull mask split by burning wrath. Overhead, the moon glints across billowing clouds of magic. Fate hangs in the night. A bold leap carries a challenger into the fray, courage clashing with certain peril. Momentum and magic spiral out toward the ground, every motion desperate, every moment vital. His adversary meets him spell for spell, dark armors and teeth bared against the light. The world trembles as the ground splits, energies crackling with every furious exchange. Spectral flames and fury coalesce into a single, blinding flash that swallows the world in violet. When the glow fades, only a shimmering remnant remains, pulsing softly at someone's feet. Breathless, the survivor stoops to claim the glowing prize, unsure if this victory is a blessing or curse. He raises it to eye level, the artifact's blue core swirling with promise, power, and old regrets. Beneath the fatting storm, he grips the fate-charged orb tightly, knowing nothing will ever be the same. A tiny creature peeks out, its ears perked and anxious, as it clings to the warmth of a familiar pocket. The protagonist gazes softly at his companion, promising safety after all the dangers they've endured. Gentle hands coax the trembling animal, instructing it to return home with one last reassuring pat. Together they pause, uncertain, as the empty cavern amplifies their soft farewell. The little one sprints across the floor, each step echoing loud in the lonely silence. Outside, a friend worries if the homecoming will bring disappointment, her hopes quietly fragile. The small figure drops through a shaft of faint light, clutching destiny in its tiny paws. Gathering at the gate, survivors puzzle over how such a powerful force appeared in a lowly place. A professional's skepticism flickers. How could a D-class threat erupt from an unassuming gate? The crowd sighs in relief and confusion, exhausted by forces they still can't comprehend. With her eyes full of concern, a young woman realizes the animal is searching for someone named Sia-kun. Huddled over, the creature's tiny form shivers, a beacon of longing in the restless crowd. Recognition dawns on a survivor. In the chaos, someone earlier had already fallen. A fresh sense of grief sweeps over the room, the cost of survival made clear by those missing faces. The animal looks up, soulful eyes brimming with loss, as it tries to find what cannot be returned. Silence falls, heavy and unresolved, as the group watches the little one's determined search. The profound ache of unfinished stories lingers, connecting every heart in that dim cavern. As the animal curls against its rescuer, the weight of what has passed and what remains rests quietly between them. A small creature shivers alone in the purple-tinted dusk, its eyes full of longing and fear. Emergency responders stare in awe as an otherworldly energy pulses through the newly conquered gate. Their radios crackle. Beyond the safety perimeter, unidentified shapes prowl amidst the chaos and alarms. A surge of magical light erupts, swirling and swallowing shadows as the scene descends into confusion. A news reporter chases the white rat, narrating frantic updates as it disappears into the growing crowd. Camera crews push in, tallying casualties and searching for the runaway creature among survivors. The rat escapes around a brick corner, guided by instinct and desperation, vanishing from sight. Rain soaks its fur and tiny frame as it sits in the alley, hope dimming, but not yet gone. At home, a young girl's mood is somber, her thoughts lingering on the friend now lost to the city's shadows. Her father's reassurances feel thin. He too knows the little one has returned to mystery, not safety. She forces a smile, masking sadness behind promises that next time, things will be different. A shadowed figure, Kangsu, watches from a distance, heavy with his own regrets and memories. News spreads that the rare rat has evaded capture, each retelling adding weight to the girl's sorrow. As dusk deepens, eyes widen in astonishment, an unexpected movement signals the rat's survival. The girl shouts in disbelief, hope sparking as the lost friend finally reappears at the threshold. With relief washing over them, names and identities are exchanged in the late twilight reunion. The rat's new name brings closure, offering comfort and acceptance after so much uncertainty. All gently hold onto this fragile peace, hearts finally easing as the night settles in, kinder at last. A streak of blue magic arcs through the darkness, illuminating the determined eyes of the spellcaster. The hands of a young magician tremble as she channels raw power, desperate for a sense of control. Shadows swirl behind them, twisting with menace and whispering of threats yet to reveal themselves. A mentor's silhouette looms at the edge of the chaos, gaze sharp and measuring as intervention hovers close. The scene shifts to the worried faces of allies caught in liminality, hope straining against exhaustion. A burst of power crackles in the air, hurling the spellcaster back with an impact that echoes with futility. In the aftermath, the team regroups, tension simmering as subtle blame and unspoken fears hang. A doorway to another world flickers open, leaking strange lights that tease at impossible futures. The spellcaster steadies herself, resolve and self-doubt at war behind her mask of composure. Night deepens outside, punctuated by the city's distant glow and the restless anxiety of the unseen fight. Cold hands clutch a magical relic as the mentor reappears, silent but powerful, demanding readiness. Thunder rumbles beneath their feet, sending shockwaves through hearts battered by too many close calls. The youngest team member stares wide-eyed at the relic's glowing core, awe mixed with annoying apprehension. The city's guardians stand as sentinels in secret, bracing for a threat that is both imminent and unknown. A single tear slips from the spellcaster, quietly marking the cost of every failed resolution. As dawn nears, exhausted faces peer out at pale light, still searching for victory or peace. The relic dims, its mystery unresolved, as hope and dread wage one more silent war. In the quiet morning, the wounded spellcaster sits apart, haunted by both her failures and her unyielding will to try again. A faint blue glow pulses from Kangsu's palm as he focuses, refusing to abandon the fragile hope in his hands. Morning arrives with quiet footsteps and a gentle voice, breaking the tension left by a sleepless night. Friendly faces gather in the kitchen, their routine comfort doing little to soothe the worry etched into Kangsu's brow. His friend's casual question is met with uncertainty, a reminder that choices loom heavier than ever. The library enters their conversation, its promise of answers cutting through the haze of doubt. Sunlight bathes Kangsu as he approaches the tall doors, hesitance warring with determination in his stride. Shelves of books arch around him in a quiet, scholarly embrace, beckoning him deeper into their secret world. A child's eager voice pulls him back from reverie, her innocence as fragile as the new morning. Kangsu promises safety, watching as she disappears between towering shelves in search of adventure. The abundance of knowledge and the hush of possibility settle over him, offering a brief moment of peace. A curious girl tests her independence, tapping on signs as if to unlock mysteries only she can sense. Their eyes meet as she accepts help, a shy thank you carrying more weight than any lecture ever could. He reminds her to take care, the simplicity of the gesture masking layers of past regret and present hope. Warm concern passes between the adults as they quietly affirm that every small action matters. Surprise flickers across Kangsu's face when the world shifts with a single call or question from a child. A glance behind reveals blue energy poolsing again, this time not with fear but with careful intent. He recalls past mistakes and lost opportunities, the wisdom of old friends lingering in every hesitant step. Kangsu resolves to trust himself, letting go, if only for a moment, so healing and connection can finally begin. He stands in the fluorescent-lit hallway, uncertainty flickering across his face as echoes of an old warning rise in his mind. A colleague turns from the bookshelf, ready with a greeting, but his eyes betray the exhaustion lingering from yesterday's trial. They settle at the table, and Kangsu spills the truth of his tangled situation, voice low but determined. An advisor leans forward, logic cutting through doubt, outlining the limits of what their abilities can safely accomplish. Kangsu's memories resurface, haunted by childhood conversations of potential wasted and dangers narrowly avoided. The two sit in measured silence, words heavy with the weight of unspoken fears and unfulfilled promises. "I'm not exceptional," Kangsu confesses, gaze averted, the honesty aching even as it cleanses. His mentor nods gently, framing the conversation with empathy and a pragmatism born of experience. A flicker of hope ignites as the mentor offers to teach, the smallest chance for growth daring to bloom in tired eyes. Kangsu's surprised gratitude breaks through the tension, heart pounding with possibility instead of regret. He hesitates, clarifying his only condition: any lesson must not cross ethical boundaries or bring shame upon the innocent. Outside, cherry blossoms swirl on the breeze, a vision of fleeting beauty and the passage of seasons gone by. Inside, ancient tomes are opened, dust motes drifting through sunlight while the quest for answers is revived. Illuminated by vibrant light, Kangsu is transported back to scenes from ancient combat, a reminder of the strength and pain that shaped history. Stars swirl and myth bleeds into memory as lessons from the past merge with fears of the present. The city at night gleams with red-lit windows, old secrets and future threats tangled beneath the dazzling skyline. Kangsu listens as his guide warns of powerful enemies, making clear the darkness that gathers beyond each glowing door. Determined, Kangsu readies himself to fight for his future, heart steeled by the promise of mentorship and the courage to keep searching for his place. Kangsu pores over the ancient tome, curiosity and unease locked behind his furrowed brow. A faint memory tugs at him. Did the mysterious OK Kingdom ever truly exist, or is it a lingering shadow from another world? Doubt clouds his face as the question echoes, shaking old certainties and sparking the hunt for hidden truths. He and the child review notes and artifacts at home, bridging the gap between myth and mundane in quiet companionship. Stories of awe and magic thread through his thoughts, their tangled timelines blurring the edge of memory and fact. He tries to mask his distraction when a friend calls, covering the turmoil that stirs beneath his steady voice. Gratitude remains for each small act of kindness, those moments of help that go unnoticed by all but the grateful heart. Above the library's hushed aisles, a quiet realization dawns. Time, place, and legend swirl together in ways no rulebook could predict. A single thought pulses in his mind: if that kingdom never existed, how did he arrive here, bearing its burdens and relics? He breathes slowly, knees folded on the floor, blue energy wrapping him in silent meditation as questions build. In dreams, he glimpses another era, something precious offered by gentle hands under faded lantern light. A cup of liquid memory reaches for him from the past, the unspoken message to rest and let go for a moment. Someday, a future mentor will trust Kangsu with the weight of a secret meant for warriors and wanderers alone. Each hint and fragment lingers, a vivid mind's eye imaging magic, loss, and the possibility that memory itself is a gate. Eyes narrow as Kangsu decides, some puzzles do not need solving today, some he will let drift with the night breeze. Drawn to the city streets, he searches for meaning among the neon and shadows, pursuing questions that never fully resolve. He locks up his bike, pushing past fatigue, survival instinct, driving each move as the world's mysteries deepen. Climbing, he finally sits beneath the city's glow, heart and mind tangled in uncertainties, but animated by the chase for meaning. A cold night air settles over the quiet street as Kangsu approaches a group of men, his expression unreadable. A startled thug leaps up, wild-eyed, barking a question as tension knots the shadows around them. Kangsu stands calmly before the gang, his hands tucked behind his back, as suspicion thickens in the alley. The leader glares at Kangsu, mocking his delivery man uniform and daring him to step closer. Kangsu responds with earnest confidence, his voice steady as he explains his resolve to do good work. The gang mocks his sincerity, their jeers echoing absurdity and disbelief about earning respect just for doing a good job. Kangsu's silent reaction is subtle, as a half-smile plays at the corner of his lips, betraying only quiet defiance. The gang leader steps forward with a threat, prepared to prove himself through violence. Kangsu's gaze sharpens as the leader swings his fist, and time seems to slow on the brink of their clash. A single, decisive motion, Kangsu catches the attack, shocking the gang with effortless strength. Wide-eyed, the leader stares in disbelief at his restrained hand, unable to comprehend how quickly the tables have turned. The gang reels in horror as their leader's confidence crumbles, fear prickling their bravado. Kangsu releases the man with a low warning, his words an ultimatum and a promise neither party can ignore. A close-up captures his disciplined resolve, the challenge in his eyes brooks no argument. The gang stumbles back, defeated, the once arrogant ringleader clutching his bruised pride. As Kangsu turns to leave, the gang is left behind in the chilling quiet, respect hard-won and grudging. He glances over his shoulder, ensuring his warning is understood, as the night swallows his solitary figure. A final panel lingers on Kangsu's somber face beneath the streetlight, unyielding yet etched with a silent, bruised compassion. A tense standoff unfolds as the group confronts a towering figure, their faces etched with resolve and fear. The leader steps forward, voice firm, demanding accountability, while others tighten their grip on their gear. A blinding flash of memory crosses the scene as one character recalls a past betrayal that rewrites their loyalties. The hulking antagonist shifts, muscles tensing, and a low growl echoes through the narrow alley. A narrow beam of daylight hits the scene, revealing scars that map their long, dangerous history with this foe. One of the captives mutters a warning, eyes darting between escape routes and the looming threat. A swift exchange of glances passes between teammates, a plan forming without a word spoken aloud. The foe lunges and a shield of dust and debris erupts as melee clashes erupt in a brutal, close-quarters struggle. A character narrowly deflects an attack, sparks flying as metal meets hard surface. A desperate kick breaks the stalemate, sending the opponent staggering backward under the force of a stubborn defense. A window behind the combatants shatters, sending shards glittering through the air like deadly rain. The antagonist edges toward a grim objective, a sinister grin creeping across his face as the team advances. A teammate sprints ahead, shouting a warning while drawing enemy fire to buy precious seconds. The group locks into a disciplined formation, moving as one unit toward the threat with coordinated purpose. A tense silence falls as a crucial decision is weighed, the weight of consequences pressing on every shoulder. An explosive confrontation erupts at close range, the world narrowing to the clash of will and iron. A muffled cry pierces the chaos as someone falls, but a rallying cry from the others steadies the group. With the foe toppled, the survivors breathe raggedly, eyes haunted yet determined to press on. The panel opens on sharp, wary eyes peering out from the gloom, suspicion sharpening the tension. A masked figure stands with arms crossed, armor reflecting the sterile light as he weighs the gravity of the situation. The mask lifts ever so slightly in anger when old wounds are mentioned, memories that lash out even from behind alloy and glass. Another man screams as his arm is twisted in a merciless grip, pain radiating through the alley's silence. A helmeted leader gathers his crew, their ominous return to the lair both routine and foreboding. Someone steps inside, bathed in golden sunlight, announcing their presence with calm finality. In the aftermath, a tentative conversation examines the suspects and their uncanny culinary skill, lingering over mundane details to mask unease. A hush falls when someone wonders aloud if the suspects even wash their hands after every meal, hinting at doubts beneath idle chatter. That same anxiety follows into further questions. What if, beneath the cook's bland words, a dark history lingered? In the lull, a man turns desperate, trying to recall and make sense of faded, uncomfortable memories. The kitchen's cleanliness becomes both a comfort and a worry, filling the air with questions not easily washed away. Outside, a violent confrontation erupts again, an injured man screaming vengeance for his broken arm. Authorities chase shadows through sterile corridors, chaos swirling as blame and fear hunt for answers. A single gesture from the masked figure signals to calm down, deflecting suspicion with strategic silence. Yet tension boils over, masked threats, and wild accusations igniting a new round of confrontations. A sudden crash jars the hall, shouts echo as security tries to contain the growing unrest. In the dark, the masked antagonist lifts his chin, resigned and implacable as the night's secrets close in. The final glance is cold and decisive, leaving allies and enemies alike haunted by the knowledge that not everything can be easily explained or forgiven. An unrelenting torrent of attackers surges forward, their frantic shouts echoing in the cold blue night. A bruised thug huddles beside his groaning friend, disbelief written in every line of his face. The masked figure steps from the shadows, his presence radiating quiet menace and unwavering resolve. Terror seizes the group as the mysterious enforcer approaches, his gaze chilling as winter rain. A trembling hand stretches out, blue energy flickering, and a desperate plea for mercy is forced through gritted teeth. But even as he begs, the defiant leader swears never to yield, pride burning hot behind bloodshot eyes. The masked one warns against ever-crossing Spring Pavilion, his words edged sharp as a drawn blade. In panic, the battered men scramble away, wounded dignity scattered on the asphalt behind them. A cold gaze fixes on the survivor, demanding he reveal the real leader. No one escapes accountability tonight. Weakly, the man points out his boss, eyes darting in fear, exposed and vulnerable beneath that icy stare. Another hesitant confession follows, as the group's secrets unravel in the masked figure's grasp. A voice interrupts, he'll be nearby, so the search must continue, every lead a flickering candle in the hushed dark. The masked vigilante strides off, quiet determination radiating from each silent footstep. From above, one of the thugs flees through a narrow corridor, desperate to outrun the consequences closing in. Breathless, he tells himself it's safe now, false bravado comforting him as he clings to faint hope. But the shadow's return dispels the illusion, a threat hanging in the air thicker than the city's dusk fog. With a stony glare, the masked figure recites an old lesson, cut the rotten branch before it grows. The final moment lingers on a recoiling face, fear, regret, and the harsh truth of retribution fully realized. Wild panic colors a man's eyes as he pleads for distance, fear twisting his features. Bright sunlight blurs the city skyline, while a desperate scream echoes up the glass and steel canyon. A man sits in an empty cafe, phone buzzing with messages that tug him away from his thoughts. He reads a text from Ganguk, the mention of old wounds bringing a sigh of reluctant forgiveness. New memories play out in the crowded warmth of the cafe, where friends recount tales of minor heroics and quiet reconciliations. A half-smile forms when Kangsu recounts his small encounter, wordlessly grateful for each rough reunion life brings back. The cafe's manager enters, apologizing for any trouble and quietly blessing the gentle restoration of fractured connections. Under the gentle lull of lunchtime, the conversation shifts, guilt, gratitude, and the promise of support stitching old wounds. A voice calls out that a friend has been helping in silence, always watching from just beyond the limelight. A familiar face offers a soft laugh, glad to see the old crowd together again, even with tangled histories. Soft banter about marriage day and friends, ever-watchful eyes draws warmth and laughter around the table. A reminder rises of the distant days when their only hopes were safety, bread, and shelter from monsters both real and imagined. New friendships echo through playful bravado and teasing, each child at the playground a promise for a brighter future. One friend pauses, troubled by rumors of new gates opening nearby, the comfort of the present tinged with the anxiety of the world outside. They share tea and worries, old souls in younger bodies, vowing to handle whatever comes next together. Beneath playground lights, the world feels momentarily safe, the future shimmering just beyond the next adventure. A companion offers a reassuring smile, promising always to revisit old places, no matter how much the world changes. Even as the day wanes, hope lingers over the table, a fragment of peace, hard-won but cherished, in their shared uncertain world. An urgent phone call disrupts the calm morning, sending a jolt of anxiety through the smiling woman's voice. She masks her nerves behind cheerful words, but a secret mission tugs at the edge of each reply. Out on the highway, a sleek car races past endless fields, blurring the line between freedom and assignment. Inside, a young man questions his summons, puzzled by the abrupt change to his ordinary day. His driver and companion swap knowing glances, hinting at the real reason for their journey. A gentle tease about hidden motives leads to playful banter, but the tension refuses to dissolve completely. When he presses for answers, the true purpose is revealed. Today is a rare chance to connect with someone important. Glasses flash as a conspiratorial smile suggests that fate, more than any schedule, has shaped this encounter. The car eases through palace gates, passing manicured lawns and reminders of expectations that run deep. Out on the drive, an elder awaits, her years wrapped in wisdom and craft, ready to judge the visitor's worth. With a slight cough, she appraises the newcomer, her gaze weighing history, capability, and intent. The young man, still uncertain, bows deeper, aware that this is no ordinary meeting but a pivotal crossroads. Flashes of memory and ambition flicker in dialogue, each person careful with words that mask insecurities. Reports swirl of rare talents within the family, a legacy that now feels both inspiring and oppressive. Through an open window, cherry blossoms and old regrets drift on the wind, burden and beauty intermingling. Even as the visit brings awkward laughter, sincere gestures build a quiet bridge between generations. The meeting draws to a close, not with sweeping declarations, but with small steps toward understanding, respect, and new hope. As they part, the young man looks back one last time, knowing that his journey has only just begun. The sun filters softly over the grassy field as families and children gather for the day's gentle festivities. A stoic man with red hair politely rebuffs interruptions, his eyes scanning the group with mild amusement. Feeling awkward, one of the adults bows apologetically, caught between courtesy and embarrassment. The red-haired guest smirks knowingly, predicting the outcome before it has even played out. On the lane, quiet conversation weaves between two men, one pondering where the next message will lead. In a kitchen far away, warmth and laughter surround a counter as friends discuss those who are absent, fangirling. A tender hand stitches up a well-worn rabbit plush, sewing comfort into felt and memory. The little girl shrinks at the table, cheeks flushed with a mixture of shame and hope. Her uncle gently teases, offering reassurance and the fuzzy toy she had missed so much. Tears well as she clutches the rabbit, feeling both gratitude for her uncle and regret for her own outburst. Meanwhile, a simple gardening tool lies abandoned on a green lawn, a casualty of childish carelessness. A lost rabbit plush becomes the center of a dilemma among a circle of anxious children. Her overwhelming sorrow bursts forth in an unrestrained cry, rattling the confidence of her peers. Each child is tasked to take responsibility, voices tangled with apologies and promises to be better caretakers. From a distance under the umbrella's shade, an elder watches, sympathy written in every line of his face. A timid request trembles from the littlest, hope faltering, as she asks if he can fix the broken toy. The old man smiles kindly, promising nothing is beyond his skill as he gathers his tools. Mending the plush, he restores more than fabric. He patches hearts and reminds them of the power of gentle care. A master delicately inspects the miniature statue, eyes glinting with both curiosity and pride at the student's craftsmanship. On a field of buzzing spring grass, a mentor welcomes a child by his side, sharing quiet counsel beneath a gentle sun. Weathered hands cradle the carved animal as the teacher marvels at its detail, admiring how effort can transform the simplest thing. Proud voices echo as children smile and show off their work, their laughter sharpening the edges of the warm afternoon. The teacher's heart softens. He cannot bear to let go of something made with such genuine care and delight. He holds up the figure for the group to see, the breeze carrying cheers and the promise of a moment worth remembering. The tiny rabbit is pressed into a small palm, its significance growing with every heartbeat and hopeful whispered wish. Two friends beam at each other, the joy of sharing eclipsing the doubts that lingered at the morning's start. Satisfied students crowd around, relieved and grateful, as their mentor's gentle instruction brings uncertain hands to sure completion. A tall figure observes the revelry from afar, lips twisting in fond amusement at the display of earnest happiness. In a rare moment of reflection, the teacher muses on what makes someone truly special, noticing how kindness threads through even the smallest acts. A single golden eye narrows in realization, lessons run deeper than the surface, and not every test is measured in skill. Plans hatch for another challenge as ideas are exchanged in hushed tones, the air crackling with anticipation of honest effort. Word spreads that the beloved teacher always visits the bakery on competition day, his routine a symbol of steadfast affection. Sun spills through glass as the shopkeeper arranges the famous roll cakes, each one a quiet celebration waiting to be claimed. A hopeful call rings out, only to catch disappointment, a wave of craving met by the dismay of shelves swept clean. Bright eyes light up as a special roll cake is produced from behind the counter, a secret held in trust for just such an occasion. The mentor presents his prize with a wry smile, gently insisting it be eaten fresh, while gratitude and new beginnings bloom in the crisp morning air. Dawn filters into the bakery as loaves are stacked, the scent of bread promising another ordinary day. A polite exchange at the door hints at routines quietly repeated, comfort woven into each familiar step. Inside, laughter covers subtle scars as the baker welcomes customers, his mask slipping just enough for concern to flash. Kangsu stands nearby, expression unreadable as the bakery's warmth fails to quite reach him. Outside, city lights retreat before the pink clouds of morning, the storefront glowing in their gentle embrace. Solitude creeps in amid domestic chores, the refrigerators hum a lonely counterpoint to all that's left unsaid. A small creature watches, round eyes brimming with anticipation, waiting for another chance at belonging. Kangsu pauses, bread in hand, and invites the soft-furred friend to join him in tomorrow's meal, a comfort for both. Night falls, his room shrinks to blue shadows, where possibility and regret tangle on rumpled sheets. With the creature at his side, he stares at the ceiling, letting silence say what words cannot. A sound at the window, hope or habit, pulls the companion's ears to full alert. Soft paws tap tile and leap, the unknown beckoning from the gleam of moonlit linoleum. A sudden crash and frantic scurrying startle the peace, uncertainty flooding the room as walls close in. Kangsu curses gently as he searches, exasperation melting into tidal worry and guilt. The little one squeaks back, caught mid-escape, innocence battered but spirit intact. Outside, morning returns and the sign for the bakery gleams anew, routine pain stitched into each rising day. A quiet revelation passes at breakfast. The creature's appetite is now legend, disbelief and laughter easing the strain. The girl hugs the animal close, eyes shining as hope for healing and friendship blooms, even if for just this fleeting moment. A hand pushes open the cafe door, ushering in a morning tinged with promise and unfinished business. Hyakunim is greeted with surprise, his presence across town sparking curious glances and light laughter. A friend's question cuts through the polite chatter, probing gently at the reason for his unexpected visit. Sunti explains he brought a treat, letting the sweet scent of bread fill the awkward silence around the table. Hyakunim tries to hide the strain in his voice, admitting he came for a conversation that's been too long postponed. Worried eyes notice something off, voicing concern for a face drawn tight by worries that won't be easily dispelled. Outside the window, the sky glows with an ordinary peace at odds with the tension that hovers inside. Sunti steels himself, nervous but sincere, struggling to find the words that have waited weeks to be spoken. Half-finished confessions are delayed by the arrival of drinks, each bottle a fragile symbol of comfort and apology. The friends sit over lunch, conversations circling around old regrets and the steady weight of new beginnings. Stories drift between them, some spoken and some held close, every word shaping the vulnerable peace they've managed to build. A shared memory of a kind customer draws brief laughter, momentarily lifting the uncertainty that clouds the room. Even so, shadows gather in the eyes of one man as he wonders why some people seem as distant as they once were dear. Careful reassurances are offered, but each one lands softly, a gentle nudge toward hope that feels almost too tender to last. A hushed plea is made to rest somewhere private, the request accepted with grateful fatigue and a quiet understanding. Alone at last, sleep falls heavy as old burdens melt into the hush, and a small creature watches anxiously from the corner. The room grows restless as the creature's cries break the silence, concern mounting in those who remain awake to hear. Trouble stirs in the shadows, doors are cracked in urgency, and a sense of foreboding seeps into the gentle promise of a new day. A young man sits upright in a hospital bed, making animated gestures as he scolds a fairy-sized girl for her mischievous antics. The fairy recoils in shock, her wings flaring in protest as a burst of magic whirls around her. Outside, a cityscape basks in the gentle morning light, promising a day filled with routine and unpredictable encounters. In a quiet cafe, friends huddle over coffee and pastries, their idle chatter weaving beneath the hum of daily life. Standing confidently, the tiny fairy introduces herself to the puzzled group, her presence equal parts wonder and disruption. Questions linger about her runaway cake incident as family members debate what lessons, if any, can be imparted to a spirit unfamiliar with human customs. Their logic circles the pointlessness of scolding such a creature, recognizing how little their words matter in her fantastical existence. The man gives her a gentle warning, his patient tone belying how often kindness must repeat itself for learning to truly take root. She stands repentant, promising not to steal again, the lesson settling on her shoulders like an invisible weight. Curiosity flickers in a different pair of eyes, wondering aloud if a flower spirit could find purpose even in a mundane restaurant. The fairy's solemn expression is edged with worry, hunger outweighs shame, and her otherworldly nature doesn't dampen basic needs. The conversation drifts to questions of work and worth, both spirit and humans quietly reevaluating how to help each other belong. Beneath blooming trees, wild spirits doze and dream in the sunlight, beautifully indifferent to the trials of mortal life. Old fears rear their heads, visions of monstrous threats rising amidst the swirl of beauty and danger. The friends observe the world outside, pondering how even magical beings might learn to flourish by sharing honest labor. A pragmatic suggestion is offered, perhaps helping on a remote farm would be a gentler, more fitting start for their fairy guest. Across wooden tables, requests for simple help, whether with chores or motivation, start piecing together a place for her in their world. The fairy considers each person's offer, quietly weighing the promise of belonging against her restless yearning for home. A flustered woman insists she'll join Kang So's case, prompting a relieved smile from her companion as Kang So quietly observes. In the busy lobby, figures pass under the domed ceiling, the trio at the center, tension thick in the air. A thoughtful man silently listens as another asks him to keep a secret from Sunti and Hangyu, suspicion flickering in his eyes. The group gathers near the stairs, curious about the mention of a birthday, as one woman tries to appear nonchalant. Shyly, one woman confesses she wants to buy a present, but is lost on what would suit him best. Her friend jumps in with enthusiasm, promising to help as they rush off together, excitement chasing away nervousness. Under the mall's bright lights, Nanato watches, the woman beside him laughing, trying to mask her nerves with humor. A serious warning is given. What's coming is a secret and must remain hidden, tension simmering just beneath the surface. Alone in thought, the woman worries aloud if she's overthinking the problem of gifts, uncertainty clouding her features. She ponders the idea of supplements, noting how tired the man has seemed lately, revealing genuine concern. Side by side at a cafe table, Nanato and his companion pretend it's just a casual outing as they analyze the moment. In the background, the group's conversation continues while Nanato's gaze fixes on something, or someone, outside the frame. The mood grows tense as one friend offers to leave early, hopping to ease the awkwardness that hangs over them. Wearing dark glasses and a hat, someone hands over a plush toy, suggesting the recipient tidy up before a meeting. By the storefront, a gentle exchange takes place as the disguised figure offers support, comfort glimmering in the act. A piercing stare through glasses reveals someone's wary suspicion, underscoring a deepening sense of unease. Suddenly, a startled scream echoes through the building, snapping everyone to attention as danger looms nearby. With chaos erupting, a plea for calm rings out, urging the group to stay together amid the confusion and looming threats. A veiled accusation of blackmen hangs in the air as the bespectacled man explains criminals abusing their abilities. Amid swirling energy, it becomes clear not all awakeners emit the same mysterious magic, the narrator questioning this strange power. A dazzling digital barrier pulses, locking the area down as the security activation takes hold. Discussing motives, the two try to unravel if there's a higher purpose behind the chaos and the awakening. Inside the panic, a tense standoff unfolds as threats are anticipated and someone prepares to act. A woman reassures her companion that the security system will soon contain the turmoil, trying to mask their fear. Worry claws at her as she debates calling for backup, torn between caution and risking exposure. At a sparsely occupied restaurant, a disguised figure muses that he can only hold the quiet for a moment. Desperate pleas for safety echo as the group silently prays for protection amidst the surging fear. Shoes slap the marble as the masked figure breaks into a sprint, urgency painted across his face. Crisis meets its peak as unconscious bodies clutter the floor and the survivors shudder at the devastation. Among the fallen, he checks pulses and grimly confirms that some are far beyond help. Still as stone, the masked figure weighs a silent decision before moving to address the aftermath. Communication breaks, the radio silent, and the call for movement grows frantic as backup is still out of reach. He confides to himself that his sole chance lies in the rare magic of the long sniper, clinging to a desperate hope. The masked man leaps over barriers and into the unknown, evading the encroaching threat below. With a charge of electricity, the hall crackles to life as he sprints past danger and toward uncertain salvation. Amid the silence of the aftermath, he assures himself that time will uncover the answers, his mind buzzing with unanswered questions. A man in dark glasses considers leaving responsibilities to the association, his face unreadable under the brim of his cap. Panic sweeps through the crowd as a woman warns others that the black men have targeted the magic stone, hands raised in alarm. Instructions are given to apprehend the culprits behind the convenience store theft, urgency clear as two men sprint across the lobby. The chase intensifies down an open corridor, the pursuers closing in while adrenaline fuels every step. One woman slips through a doorway, clutching the handle tightly as if outrunning danger just behind her. A determined officer thrusts out her hand and shouts an arrest, the scene locking into a moment of confrontation and shock. In the aftermath, confusion reigns as a woman sits dazed among fallen debris, searching desperately for answers. Inside an apartment, one friend awkwardly greets another just as a party surprise is nearly spoiled. Amid the walls of a cozy home, the revelation that today is no ordinary day catches a listener off guard. A woman emerges smiling with a cake, singing happy birthday and brightening the doorway with warmth. As song and laughter fill the room, a child and a woman present a cake to a beloved father and companion. With bated breath, a late arrival bursts through the restaurant door, worried they might have missed everything. Cheeks flushed, the final guest is encouraged to hurry and light the candles before the moment slips away. Outside under the night sky, laughter and music spill from the glowing windows of the cheerful family home. A gentle reminder appears, marking the end of this chapter and inviting readers to look forward to future stories. The early morning sunlight greets a young man as he stands ready to begin a special day filled with promise. With quiet pride, he declares that today is Children's Day, savoring the importance of the occasion. In the warmth of home, talk turns to family and personal reflection, as plans for celebrating the day stir memories old and new. The cheerful woman explains their afternoon schedule as her two colleagues listen intently in the office. As a stack of papers looms, one man reminds his coworker they need to prepare documents before lunch, tension flickering between them. The door swings open dramatically, a sign of something urgent about to disrupt the day's dull rhythm. With an enthusiastic greeting, a newcomer bursts into the scene, surprising the pair as he arrives just in time. Pressed for time, the newcomer presents paperwork for certification, stirring a new wave of busyness. They're quickly assigned to dishwashing duty, their efforts shifting the room's mood to one of begrudging teamwork. The supervisor quietly observes the pair's awkward teamwork, a subtle smile playing on his lips as he delegates tasks. Though untrained, the eager assistant clumsily mimics the required motions, hopping desperate energy compensates for lack of skill. Shock flickers across one man's face as he suddenly recalls the absence of Jae-yoon, their routine upended. With nervous urgency, he asks about Jae-yoon's whereabouts, dread creeping into his voice as he fears the worst. His worried fetches seem futile, as just a hollow echo answers him from across the empty room. Meanwhile, Jae-yoon sits alone in the backseat of a car, the city blurring past as she stares out the window in silence. A voice from the front gently informs Jae-yoon that their journey is nearly over, but comfort seems far away. Jae-yoon nods quietly, lost in thought, her expression unreadable as she processes what awaits her. In the front seat, the driver provides background, revealing their next stop includes a brief delay for someone important. Jae-yoon endures the awkward trip, steeling herself for the meeting as doubts swirl within her. The sharp metallic click of lipstick breaking the silence punctuates Jae-yoon's efforts to compose herself. With poetic grace, she applies her lipstick, vowing to mask her uncertainty with strength and resolve as the car carries her toward her fate. A single golden eye stares determinedly through a scope, the world outside feeling precariously balanced. Seated in the car, the woman clutches her arm and recalls her identity as the Black Rose, troubled by the memories. A calm man tries to reassure her, equating her dilemma to a normal misunderstanding and urging her not to worry. She reflects on the many burdens she has to manage, silently comparing herself to tightrope walkers on the edge. Her companion, both kind and analytical, asks about her newfound hobby, hinting he admires her trying something different. The gentle praise continues as he compliments her for finding interests beyond her duties, giving her a rare sense of peace. Their car arrives at the busy festival, where throngs of people gather under the warm afternoon light. The woman swings open the car door, collecting herself before stepping into the crowd, her determination hidden beneath a composed mask. On the sidewalk, she draws curious eyes as she exits the car with pride, ready to face whatever awaits at the festival. From above, people cross marked lines in organized lanes, the group merging into the bustling festival atmosphere. A lone man scans the festival games, the buzz of the crowd and distant prizes drawing his eye. His companion spots something exciting and calls him over, igniting their sense of discovery in the crowded square. He notices a familiar game, booth, and wonders aloud if the knife-throwing game is as dangerous as it seems. With a dramatic flourish, the carnival worker grins, explaining the rules of the balloon-popping contest to the fascinated crowd. At the edge of the festival, more people join the attraction, laughter and excitement building as the stakes grow higher. A young girl delights in the prizes, pointing out a huge teddy bear on display, its friendly face inviting the hopeful contestants. The massive stuffed bear sits center stage at the booth, waiting for a new winner to claim it. The girl and her companion crouch to chat over the festival's prizes, sharing a quiet moment in the noisy celebration, hope glimmering in their smiles. A young girl fidgets anxiously, deep in thought about the challenge ahead. Two older boys approach her at a booth, encouraging her to enjoy her snacks and chocolate. She nervously asks if she can have a chance to get closer to Nanwoo, searching for reassurance. One boy hesitates, explaining he's rather useless at follow-up activities, barely concealing his reluctance. A flashback of their intense battle flickers in his mind, the memory painted with danger and swirling magic. He jokes dryly about how his talents don't really help in everyday life, his grin masking insecurity. At the booth, he's handed 3 darts, but his uncertainty grows as he faces the game. An older boy instructs him to throw 1 dart at a time, emphasizing patience. She hesitantly hands over 3 darts as instructed, her tiny fist clenched with hope. A palm opens to reveal the trio of darts, and he's told, "Here, take this," with a conspiratorial nod. He tries to understand the strategy for winning the teddy bear, questioning how to possibly succeed. His friend urges him to listen carefully, promising to share the secret behind the game. Stepping up to the challenge, he's told to keep his eyes sharp and focus, his nerves tightening. The crucial advice comes: the last thing is concentration, as determined eyes narrow in focus. He lunges forward with a cry, throwing the dart with all his might and heart. The dart smacks the target dead center, scoring a perfect 100 points and drawing an astonished wow. He excitedly turns to his friend, celebrating that he really hit it, pride glowing in his eyes. The girl, now beaming, thanks him as she parades off with her prized bear, while an announcement about the magic show echoes, and she runs off to tell her uncle the show's about to begin. His cool smirk belies the fierce determination hiding beneath his calm expression. Two figures make their way down the street with urgent purpose as a young girl quickly falls in step beside them. From the rooftop, masked agents receive instructions through earpieces, their weapons resting at the ready. One masked figure hesitates, struggling with doubt as his partner pressures him to proceed with the grim mission. Fear flickers in the eyes behind the balaclava as the possibility of capture looms large. A conspirator reassures his anxious companion, conjuring a dark energy to bolster their courage. The lead gunman clarifies their grim objective, ensuring everyone is focused on blood flower. A sniper team locks onto their target below, the crackle of their earpiece cutting through the tension. Emerging from a shadowy corner, a woman steels herself, internally vowing that tonight will end in bloodshed. A lone man watches a little girl cross the lawn, silently noting how easily she attracts attention. An awkward attempt at levitation causes surprise among the gathered group, drawing sideways glances. Enthusiasm bubbles as one friend gushes about classic magic tricks, grin wide as he leans toward his unimpressed seatmate. Glowing question marks drift before a pensive figure, lost in speculation about the mystery before him. Even as the truth peeks through illusion, the trick's charm remains undiminished for the crowd. A deep breath steadies him as pink magic energy swirls nearby, signaling something supernatural is afoot. Alarm prickles across his senses when a surge of magic fills the air, its source all too familiar. Shock and confusion ripple through the assembled guests, their forms blurring as tension builds. Curiosity leads one to point out the distant VIP section, as everyone wonders about the coming spectacle. Amidst rows of empty seats, the friends speculate about the mysterious VIP in attendance. Shock and suspicion ripple through the gathering as an article outs someone in their midst as a spy. They contemplate the high-profile nature of a fellow guest, linking ties to the formidable Red Dragon Guild. A subtle glance over the shoulder hints at hidden power, as the possibility of another strong contender lingers. Concealed behind a note, a disguised woman frets over unexpected faces from the spring pavilion. Tears mix with panic as she wonders why those people had to appear here, complicating everything. Blushing shyly, she confesses her delight at seeing Kang So's face, masking tension with affection. A watchful observer suspects ulterior motives for the woman's attempt to conceal her identity. The audience is enthralled as the magician's announcement rings out. The illusion show is about to begin. Bathed in spotlight, the magician conjures dice into existence, captivating everyone present. Unease grows when the friends notice others acting suspicious without needing to connect devices. A focused gaze narrows, picking up the unmistakable sound of sudden gunfire in the distance. Inside the glowing chamber, chaos erupts as an invisible barrier protects the onlookers from an ambush. The illusion shatters as an attack bursts forth, the VIP's guards scramble to protect their charge. Amid silver streaks, the shield's power intensifies to protect those within from the onslaught. Locked in grim determination, defenders brace against another barrage as cracks spiderweb in the barrier. Amid the dazzling chaos, the mage demands to know what trickery his rival has unleashed. A pulse of dread overtakes the crowd as they realize the attack is more than just a simple spectacle. Shattered glass and a surge of panic fill the scene as someone desperately shouts to block the attack. Two suited men analyze the chaos, strategizing urgently for a breakthrough amid the confusion. Alarmed, a man wonders who could orchestrate such destruction, the weight of suspicion settling on his thoughts. A lone figure stands illuminated in crimson light, prepared to unleash her power as the crisis deepens. One investigator, shocked to recognize Hunter Black Rose, is left speechless by her sudden appearance. With steely resolve, Black Rose raises her hand and interrogates those around her, eyes blazing for the culprit. A sharp-eyed woman turns toward the chaos, questioning why the sudden unrest has gripped everyone from the main base. Alarm sirens wail as evacuations commence, streams of terrified people rushing from imminent danger. A mother gathers her child, soothing her fear amid the fleeing crowd with gentle reassurance. A little girl wails over her ruined teddy bear, tears streaming as she mourns her favorite companion. A man recoils as a young woman, overwhelmed by fear, grabs hold of him with a desperate cry. Sharp to his surroundings, another figure wonders how such tragedy could strike right before his eyes. Desperate for an excuse, a man claims he needs the bathroom, eager to escape the pressure of the moment. Amid the chaos, two masked men crouch and bicker over a failed shot that bounced harmlessly away. Disbelief colors a masked face as he laments cursing over the botched operation and its unexpected outcome. Uncertainty grips the pair as they debate unleashing chaos, their nerves frayed by indecision. Determination hardens in a young hero's eyes as he weighs the risk of shooting a civilian. With unwavering defiance, he commands his enemies to taste their own bullets, ready to stand his ground. A surge of blue energy surrounds the silent figure as he prepares to confront the imminent threat. Masked attackers tense as a figure bursts onto the scene, blazing with raw power. Two attackers are flung back, screaming in pain as the confrontation explodes into chaos. Clutching his back in agony, one villain sprawls on the stairs, groaning as his comrade struggles beside him. With determined eyes, the defender stands his ground, vowing to protect the innocent at any cost. His steely resolve is tested as he faces a wounded enemy who claws at the ground, refusing to give up. Beneath the clear sky, he suddenly pauses, disturbed by a familiar yet mysterious presence approaching. An intense gaze signals awareness as he spots a clue, laser-focused on pursuing the truth. From the rooftop, he urges himself to move quickly, determined to stay ahead of the chaos. With a single leap, he launches into the air, streaking over the city toward distant comfort. In a tranquil classroom, a teacher checks on her young students as tensions slowly fade away. Her expression sharpens in surprise as a new and unsettling message flashes across her phone. The teacher hesitates at the door, reassuring the children she'll be back as she's called away. Behind her, the children watch curiously as she steps out, their voices lingering in the bright classroom. A moment of nervous realization washes over her as she answers a call, bracing for bad news. Waiting in the hallway, she listens intently, her eyes wide as the weight of responsibility sinks in. Children clamor for her attention, calling out for their teacher as uncertainty fills the room. Determined, she promises to return soon, her resolve hardening as she prepares for whatever comes next. The teacher addresses the class about upcoming Parents' Day while children sit at their tables filled with anticipation. She stands nervously, confirming aloud that Parents' Day is indeed tomorrow and asking for everyone's cooperation. With gentle encouragement, she helps a group of children as they craft colorful gifts at the table. One eager girl proudly announces her intent to give her present to both her parents. Beside her, a child chimes in enthusiastically, proclaiming their gifts will go to Grandma, Grandpa, Mom, and Dad. A small voice shares that his present will be for his dad, the teacher observing the scene with quiet warmth. Noticing a silent child, the teacher approaches and encourages him to participate, mindful of his shyness. A flicker of recognition crosses her face as she realizes Jiang-hoon is present in class today. She praises Jiang-hoon's handiwork, remarking that he's making a particularly beautiful flower. Crouching down, she gently asks Jiang-hoon if he has someone special to give his carnation to. Some classmates whisper that Jiang-hoon has no parents, drawing the teacher's worried admonition. With uneasy discomfort, the teacher thinks to herself that such talk shouldn't be allowed in her class. A girl bursts out angrily that the other kids are bad for their insensitivity, her face flushed with frustration. The teacher intervenes, urging them to consider how it would feel not to have a mom or dad and to reflect on their words. A chorus of protests erupts, some children crying and others refusing to listen as the atmosphere turns tense. She kneels down and encourages an apology, guiding her students toward empathy and understanding. Sighs and nods follow, the children quietly mumbling their agreement to apologize and avoid such words again. Tears glistening in his eyes, Jing-hoon reassures his classmates that it's fine, his soft voice belying a heavy heart. A determined girl urges her friend to stop crying and join her to meet her aunt. With renewed energy, the cheerful girl beams, confident her aunt will love the bouquet. A shy boy clutches his own flowers, nerves showing in his worried eyes. Down a sunlit hallway, a poised woman strides with purpose, files in hand and resolve in her step. A bespectacled man is introduced as Master Han Chial, a formidable awakened from the age of chaos. Images flash of Han Chial's past, flames and violence framing his legendary rise. Standing before the director's office, a man reminds himself to do his best and not make mistakes. His hand trembles as he knocks on the office door, nerves wiry but determined. Inside, he greets the guild master with respectful formality as sunlight streams into the sleek office. The guild master explains the agenda, promising a summary of the schedule and mention of a presidential luncheon. A weary executive rubs his forehead, pondering the implications of the latest revelations and their connection to an old rival. On a screen, news flashes about a daughter being targeted, heightening tensions in the room. The guild master eyes steely, barks for someone to find the culprit who dared threaten his child. A subordinate calmly passes a file to the master, explaining it holds the spring pavilion information he requested. The executive reviews the paperwork, an unexpected detail drawing a sharp intake of breath. He's reminded that rumors about his past are based on real pain. His life was changed by tragedy and revenge. The guild master confides that after his wife and daughter died, revenge was the first true drive he ever felt. Duty done, the assistant is dismissed, her hand on the doorknob as she quietly affirms her understanding. A young man pauses in a hallway, concern etched on his face, as he contemplates his next move. He settles at his desk, lost in thought, while his hand reaches for something out of view. Dialing a code, he opens a secure safe, the seriousness of the moment apparent in his expression. A rugged man in casual clothes quietly observes from across the room, his calm hiding a wealth of experience. Clutching a treasured photo, the man reflects on his resolve to stay true to himself and those he loves. He reminisces about a difficult journey, knowing his determination was forged through hardship and self-discovery. On a peaceful street outside a restaurant, two friends meet unexpectedly, their paths crossing under new circumstances. Another pair approaches, one teasing the other for arriving much earlier than usual, breaking the morning's stillness. Grateful for advice, a young man thanks an older friend for guidance, downplaying his own role in the other's growth. Yet gratitude pours out. Because of guidance received, the younger has come to believe he can truly achieve anything. As he looks back, memories of past doubts chase him, but new confidence now clearly shines in his eyes. A hasty stride up the steps signals the start of a new endeavor, determination pushing him forward. Two familiar figures greet each other with surprise and camaraderie, ready to pick up where they left off. Standing apart, a third friend shares an important reminder about the fleeting chances to change one's life. He admires the courage it takes to pursue happiness, knowing it's always easier said than done. A powerful fist clenches, symbolizing the true beginning. Real awakening never happens overnight. Yet confusion lingers. Is anyone else truly aware of what the journey means or how it starts? A call for attention interrupts the mood, as another tries to explain a breathing technique at the root of their newfound strength. Night falls outside as two friends bid farewell, one promising to deliver something important before morning. In a quiet moment, he ponders his next move, fatigue visible as he rubs his eyes and sighs deeply. A tense conversation unfolds in a cafe, as one asks if the other will share sensitive information with the awakeners. Nervous laughter fills the air as he admits awakeners can protect themselves, but keeping secrets isn't easy. He sits alone, remembering his inability to protect those precious to him, regret etched in every word. A new day brings routine as he sits at a desk, opening a can of cola to steel his resolve. Solitude amplifies his thoughts, the reason for his anonymity was to avoid trouble and save lives. He gulps down his drink, deciding that if this is his mission, he'll see it through to the end. Conviction grows with each sip. He must commit if he wants everything to resolve as planned. Memories swirl through his mind, bolstering his resolve that he's on the right path for justice and peace. A note carefully shut holds a powerful secret, the pure righteous heart method. Flipping the notebook open, he scans the page, committed to spreading its knowledge for the sake of the world. The technique's name shines like a vow, promising hope and guidance to any awakeners who use it. Lost in thought, he wonders how best to share this life-changing secret with others. His mind races with questions. How will the world react when the news escapes these four walls? A scene flashes to the present, two friends in a restaurant discussing world affairs and the coming change. The word president is uttered, planting the seeds of greater responsibility and intrigue. Together they brace for what comes next, united in their cause as midnight ticks toward a new dawn. A poised woman delivers her thoughts on what makes a true leader, her confidence unwavering as she addresses the room. A sepia-toned flashback shows leaders from the past, their burdens heavy as they take on tasks bigger than themselves. A young man quietly muses over what he hears, doubt and curiosity flickering in his thoughtful gaze. He reflects on the need for strength and fairness in those who wield true power, a gentle smile forming on his lips. Alone with his notebook, he wonders if the new president will use such a tool for the country's benefit. He stands, deciding to take a necessary break, his resolve softening as he searches for clarity. In a bright office, an older man sits amidst screens and papers as a visitor enters with important business. The assistant delivers coffee, the simple gesture masking the heavy atmosphere of anticipation and unspoken questions. With a notebook in hand, the superior inquires about its meaning, quietly testing his subordinate's awareness. The younger man lowers his gaze and apologizes, unable to answer as uncertainty lingers in the air. A formal conversation continues at the desk, the older man inquiring about the implications and contents of the mysterious notebook. A reluctant smile appears as the subordinate admits it would be a dream if answers could be found merely by reading. Alone with the enigmatic notebook, the director's thoughts race, questioning what secrets it might hold. He flips through the pages, struck by the raw, energetic handwriting that betrays strong emotion. Absorbed, he reads further, while the hum of the office recedes into distant static. Suddenly, a gasp escapes him, the contents more shocking than he ever imagined. His world tilts as realization dawns, the truth in the notebook setting his heart racing. A final page reveals an official document, hinting at new beginnings as curiosity and destiny now intertwine. Sweat beads on the man's brow as he nervously peers over the edge of his book, suspicion gnawing at his mind. He flips anxiously through stacks of papers at his cluttered desk, desperate for answers amid the mess of research. Blue light bathes his face as a sudden realization strikes, the puzzle pieces clicking into place in his head. Careful handwriting fills a page with cryptic instructions, the fine lines hinting at a deeper mystery. In a sterile laboratory, a scientist points to data on a computer, his words heavy with the gravity of new findings. At his office, the researcher leans back, pondering the daunting global efforts to awaken latent abilities. Alone, he broods beside his computer, weighed down by uninspiring results and relentless deadlines. Disappointed, he mutters to himself about repeated failures, frustration building with every fruitless attempt. Lost in thought, he slouches in his chair, wondering who could have authored the strange and compelling notes before him. Narrowing his gaze, he finds the contents eerily persuasive, yet struggles to deduce the motives behind their arrival. A gentle hand turns the notebook, curiosity piqued by something hidden among the routine entries. Shock tightens his features as he uncovers an ominous black handprint, the only mark left from a mysterious visitor. Could this be the sign of a zero-level awakener? He wonders, his thoughts racing with possibility and doubt. Despite the uncertainty, he resolves that further investigation is unnecessary, content to let the matter rest. A scientist smiles softly, remarking that a little inconvenience is normal for those who push science's boundaries. Accepting the admonition, the researcher hides his disappointment, resigning himself to wait for clarity. He remembers even the great Li Xin felt discouraged when the trail seemed cold, seeking solace in the memory of persistence. Leaning forward, he debates calling for help but stops short, as the skyline's promise of tomorrow fills the office with hope. A visitor strides into the office, surprising the older man who reluctantly greets him while sitting near his monitor. The newcomer offers a notebook with careful optimism, suggesting it holds the answers his colleague has sought. Flipping through the well-worn pages, the man grumbles in disbelief at the source of its contents. Shocked, the older man gawks at what he reads, unable to hide his confusion. With a wry smile, the visitor observes his dumbfounded reaction, remarking that it's delightful to see such surprise. As the newcomer turns to leave, he insists it's the right solution, sure the information will help. A professor recalls his search for zero-level individuals abroad, hoping it would calm his uncontrollable energy. Standing apart, the newcomer calmly confirms that embracing zero-level will yield real results. Suddenly, excitement surges as the older man realizes he's discovered something revolutionary, eager to know where it came from. He explains how the information mysteriously appeared on his desk, mystified by its origins. Eyes wide, the visitor asks if he's the first to learn this secret, hope flickering across his features. Assured that the truth will emerge as there are many skilled people investigating, the older man gives thanks as the visitor exits, questioning the true identity of his mysterious helper.